dodge bullets, baby.
This is beyond fairy tale. It's inconceivable.
There it is. Doyle's done it.
He skates steps into poker history.
This is the greatest sport in the world.
There are many things to love about the main event.
Show me the money.
And above all, there's this. Anyone can win. Just ask the mathematician turned poker pro, Chris Ferguson.
It changed my life. And once you're a world champion, you're always a world champion.
Or the patent attorney turned fossil man, Greg Raymer.
This is everyone's moment. Everyone's got a shot.
And who knows, maybe one day the actor turned big stack, Jason Alexander.
Bring Raymer on. Bring them all on. Hellmuth, Ivey, bring them on. I'm ready. Let's go.
It's the main event. Anyone can win. Someone will win. But first, they must survive day 2.
Yes, baby. Yes.
Welcome back to the Rio and the 40th Annual World Series of Poker presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. I'm Lon McCarran with Norman Chad. Excitement is in the air as the first of 2 day 2s is about to begin. Indeed, day 2 has brought out many of the game's most entertaining players, including Gavin Smith, the mad genius of poker, Mike Caro.
I'm ready to go.
And Mike the Mouth Matusow. Several former world champions are playing today, including Johnny Chan, the last player to win in back-to-back years, who is short-stacked but hopeful.
Still got a chip in the chair, right?
And the man they call Jesus, who will soon be seated at table 2. Over at our featured table sits yet another world champion, the fossil man himself, who is seated next to a man who is amongst the big stacks in the room. Jason Alexander?
Jason Alexander, part of the Hollywood contingent that's converged on the main event, and Jason can play some.
You're going to learn some things from me today. I think you're going to be very impressed.
I've already been impressed, Jason.
I don't mean sexually. I mean,
No, I didn't either.
Let me tell you something about Jason. He is fast, he can run like the wind, and he's strong. I've seen him lift 100 pounds over his head without knowing it.
That's early Seinfeld knowledge on the Jack Link's Beef Jerky Pocket Cam. Albert Manolan with Queen Jack.
Manolan graduated from Moscow State University. I believe they are the Raging Cajuns.
He is a journalist, 41 years old, and he will raise the action to 1,200 on the 04 World Champ, Greg Raymer, King 9. He lays it down. Jason Alexander, Queen 10 of spades.
You wouldn't know it to look at him, but Jason can bait a hook.
The 49-year-old actor was raised in Livingston, New Jersey. He calls. Action now on John Eaton. Pocket 4s, lives here in the Las Vegas area.
I ran into a fellow playing in the main event, Scott Venner, and he came up with a new hand name. He calls Pocket 4s the Obama in honor of our 44th president.
Oh, very nice. We'll see if that sticks. 3 players will go to the flop. Got a journalist, a pro, and an actor. The flop 7, 6, king, 2 spades. Jason with the best chance to win with a flush draw. Eaton has the best hand with the pocket 4s. Eaton checked. Manolan now bluffs at it.
The flop was a swing and a miss for Manolan, but he's swinging for the fences with that bet.
2,600 to Jason Alexander. He's going to stick around and try to catch a 5th spade.
Well, I would have been impressed if actually Jason raised there on the draw. This hand would be over.
Eaton will fold. He folded the best hand, so heads up. Manolan and Alexander to the turn. Turn card is a queen. That pairs both. Manolan leads, though, with a better kicker. Action on Manolan.
I'd bet you Fossil Man can't bait a hook.
Manolan checks. Jason is going to put pressure on his opponent. 5,000. Manolan makes the call.
Behind the shades, Manolan has Jason in his sights.
Both players with a pair of queens. Manolan with the better kicker. Now the river card. It is a 10. That hits Jason. He gets the check mark with queens up. Manolan again first to act. He checks again.
Jason says his best poker quality is his poker face, and he credits that to being an actor.
Comes out with a nice bet. 9,000, almost half the pot.
Manolan getting 3-1 on a call here. Jason also has good poker arms.
Manolan reaching for chips, makes the call. Jason opens up and shows the queens up to take the pot.
I hate when sitcom actors suck out.
You bet when you miss the flush. Good hand.
Jason surprised many by being one of the day one chip leaders, but this actor is not one to be trifled with. He's a man on a poker mission. Well, Norman, the good news is we can finally put the Groundhog Day feel of the day ones behind us. Bad news is today is just the first of 2 day twos, and the final table is still a very distant dream on the main event horizon.
Well, and that's not bad news. It's fantastic. The fact there's so much poker left leaves me downright stoked. And today's feature table is what I love about this baby. You've got one of the all-time main event performers in Greg Raymer hoping to make another deep run, and George Costanza is standing in his way. You may need serenity now. I say let's double dip and enjoy.
Jason hoping to be master of this domain.
I'll start humming the Flash Gordon song. Like,
Flash. He said every one of us.
You saved every man, every woman, every child, land, Flash.
It's Flash Gordon theme.
Fossil Man singing? I've got to draw the line somewhere.
Another player who opened a lot of eyes on day one playing in the field today, Lex Veldhuis. Lex and Aris Haynes are in a hand on the river. Lex bet 5,000. Aris raises it to 10. Lex shows ace 5 and folds 2 pair.
Oh, come on, man. You can't. You.
Aris with aces and
You ain't
queens.
gonna call that. Now, you know I would have called that if that was me. I would have called you.
Can you just leave me alone or something? Like, I'm not saying anything and you're just
I know you don't want to say.
crying
You can
because
say. You can say something.
Give the guy a tissue, you want a pot.
Hey, look. You ain't got to turn. You shouldn't turn your hand over. Should have kept your hand forward.
I'm sorry, you just played painfully obvious.
Oh, bluff him next time, Lex. Then turn your cards over.
Across the room, another pro who always seems to struggle for every chip he wins, Mike the Mouth Matusow, folding his hand right there.
I do have my patience today, which is a good sign. That's the only good sign I got going today. When I get frustrated that I'm not catching any cards and I lose my patience, that's when it becomes a bad sign.
He looks like he's about to lose his patience.
At another table, Gus Hansen in better shape. He's got the nuts straight and a big pot on the turn against a set of trays. For Norman Gotron, Gus is checked.
41.
Gotron bets 4,100.
Gotron, a Canadian poker pro.
Hansen with the made straight.
Lon, Gus has 4,939 Facebook friends.
Wow.
I have 2 acquaintances that I see at 7-Eleven once in a while.
Hansen is going to raise it to 12,100. Gotron raises enough to put Gus all in.
Gus gets what he wants.
And here it is. Gus at risk and way ahead.
Gus all in. He does not want the board to pair.
Oh, but it does. A king on the river gives Gotron a full house, and Gus Hansen is gone.
That was quick.
A quiet, unexpected, and ugly exit for Gus Hansen.
All the chips you got from me on day
2 nice main event runs in a row, but an early exit on day 2 for Gus here.
Again.
Over at table 2, and a man who knows the feeling of being the last player standing, 2000 world champ Chris Ferguson. He's at the same table as Roland DeWolf, a UK pro who won his first bracelet this year. Roland is watching Chris with pocket jacks go against the ace-queen of Billy Holmes. Chris re-raised, Holmes called the flop 10-10 jack, a full boat for Chris Ferguson.
And Holmes is drawing very, very thin.
Chris started day 2 with just 24,000 chips. He bets out 3,000 here. Holmes comes along.
Chris with just 1 cash in this World Series. Flops like that can turn it around for you.
Turn card is an 8. Ferguson earns the check mark with that full house. Holmes drawing dead now. Chris looks like he wants to keep the pressure on. He bets 7,500.
Holmes drawing dead, but he's picked up a double belly buster straight draw, so he might come along for the ride in the hearse.
Holmes from Seaford, Delaware in his first World Series of poker. Taking on a former world champion, he makes the call.
Meanwhile, Chris Ferguson strikes his usual pose. Don't move, don't tell.
River card is a king. Holmes hits Broadway. No doubt that's going to cost him, Norman.
A dream hand for Ferguson and a nightmare for Holmes.
Ferguson first to act. Nearly 30,000 in the pot. He bets enough to put Holmes all in.
Well, there's nothing worse than drawing dead and getting there, Lon. Unless you're drawn dead, you get there, and it is for the rest of your chips. If Holmes makes this call, it is his last call.
The perfect storm here for Holmes if he makes the call, and he does. How can he not? Ferguson shows the full boat, and Holmes is gone.
And as you mentioned, Holmes caught in that perfect storm. Not much you can do about that elimination.
What a way to go out.
Well, always best to get knocked out by a world champ.
Well, after flopping the nuts, Chris Ferguson never tried to slow play that hand. He was fortunate that Billy Holmes had reason to stick around.
Not a bad flop there.
Day 2 of the main event already looking much brighter for Chris Ferguson.
The 2009 World Series of Poker is presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side. And in part by WSOP.com. Sign up for the official WSOP e-newsletter at WSOP.com and FullTiltPoker.net. Learn, chat, and play with the pros.
Back at the Rio, everyone a step closer to that bracelet.
Chris, how many events did you play in?
35 or something like that.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding. Cashed once, and then made a final table and ante up for Africa. Then
Probably broke even then, didn't you?
yeah, somewhere around there, give or take $250,000.
You know what you should do next year?
No, I have no idea what I should
Play better.
do next year. That would help. I'm going to start now. How about this year? How about if I start now?
You can still get out of it on the series.
37-25.
That's true. I can still get even.
You didn't
and
slide into
plus a
The
little
World
bit.
Series has been like an ATM for Chris. 2009, not so much, but he'd be the first to explain it was mathematical destiny.
I've had an amazing run here at the World Series over the past 10 years. 5 bracelets, 5 second-place finishes. I don't know how many cashes I have. This year hasn't quite lived up to the past years. This year I haven't even come close. I made the money one time. Everybody goes on a bad streak. But I really am looking into what the competition is doing, and the competition is changing. I really think the players are getting a lot better. And a lot of the strategies that I would use against players in the past won't work as well. So I do have to modify my game, but I'm not making any radical changes to it. Losing streaks are a mathematical fact, but that doesn't mean that they're not, psychologically very difficult to deal with. But, you just get up every day, try again. Eventually it's going to end. Hopefully it'll end during the main event.
Well, here's a mathematical fact. Chris is 3rd all-time in World Series cashes behind Phil Hellmuth and Men the Master.
Elsewhere, to a man who's finished 2nd in the main event twice, Dewey Tomko. He and 2 others saw a flop of ace-5-6, couple of spades. Arthur Pinkasoff just bet 3,500. Dewey raises to 10,000. That gets rid of one player. Action on Pinkasoff now. He needs 6,500 to call, and he will, and go heads up with Dewey. Turn card now. 8 of hearts. Tomko first to act.
One more time.
And he moves all in.
When Dewey raises, he usually has a hand.
Pinkasoff calls with a pair of aces, and Dewey does have it. A set of 5s. Pinkasoff drawing dead. Tomko doubles up.
Ship those chips to Dewey Tomko.
54,000 chips. Dewey is a close friend of the Brunson clan. Doyle eliminated on day 1, but his son Todd is in action today and dealing with the unpredictable actor Brad Garrett.
That's an odd couple.
Read my article. Read your article. Wow, look at this. Guns and ammo and place poker. That's a good combination. Have a good game and a rifle. Todd Brunson, so proud of you.
You read it?
I don't read, I have the album. Give me 1 second. Take it easy, please. All right, Kojak, take it easy, Skipper. 1,500. There you go, enjoy it. Okay.
Todd picked up a couple of new readers.
That guy got mad because I called him Kojak. I'll get it.
Yeah, he could be Kojak.
Got pissed off.
Why is he whispering? This isn't the Masters.
The 30,000 chip starting stack included chips with denominations from 25 to 5,000. When it's all over, one player will own all 195 million chips in play. Jason Alexander doing a good job collecting chips of all colors. Raymer with Queen 10 of hearts.
All right, Jason, put me on tilt now.
He calls for 400.
Raymer under the gun, limps in.
Pocket deuces.
You know what? I'm only going to call you.
Jason just limps as well.
In 2004, Raymer beat a then record field of 2576. This year, 6,494 starters.
Action folds over to Manolin. Queen 9 of diamonds in the small blind.
Manolin was a sports writer for Russia's largest newspaper for 11 years, so we have a lot in common, other than the sunglasses, the way he dresses, and, well, I don't speak Russian.
Manolin makes the call. Jonathan Lewis with 5 deuce offsuit. He checks his option.
I got nothing in common with that guy. Nothing.
4 players to the flop. flop is 5 queen. Jack Raymer with a pair of queens and the best kicker. Manolan, pair of queens, an inferior kicker. Manolan checks. Lewis, a 23-year-old pro poker player from Boston, checks with a pair of 5s. Raymer with the best hand bets 1,000. Jason Alexander calls.
That's a quick call for an actor who misses the flop.
Manolan now with second best pair of queens makes a raise to 3,500. That gets rid of Lewis.
Let me get my 1,000 chip back, please. Don't make change right away, please. Thank you. And then he needs 1,000 too, because he made it 35. I mean, if we wait a few seconds, but not immediately.
Raise.
First he's singing, now he's doing the dealer's job.
Raymer raises the action to 10,000. Jason Alexander exits. Manolan now re-raises all in. Doesn't cost Raymer that much more.
I call.
And he does make the call.
Well, Raymer pushes Manolan to the brink. I gotta root for the sports writer. He's like a brother to me.
He needs help to stick around.
Either a 9 or a 10 on the turn is a very interesting card.
Hey, Greg, that's my job. Zip it up.
All right, now the turn card.
King is interesting too. Now we're cheering for the other card.
Actually, at this point, if the board pairs, they will split the pot and Manolan will survive.
Don't give me 2 pair. Don't give me 2 pair.
Or a 10 on the river gives Manolan a straight, otherwise he's eliminated.
River card. Oh, and there's 2 pair for Greg, which means Manolan gets the winning straight.
Ah, yuck.
Greg takes a small hit. Manolan survives.
The unfun part of poker.
That's the price you pay for singing the Flash Gordon theme earlier.
Bad beats do come with the territory, but Fossil Man with plenty of fight left.
The World Series of Poker, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Main event.
Welcome back to the Rio, proving this is a game for all legal ages. You see the oldest and youngest to ever win the main event and the oldest to ever play in the main event. 96-year-old Jack Ury jumping jacks in a hand right now. After the flop, his grandson Seth Harold by his side.
I'll bet one.
Jack bets 1,000 on the flop of 667.
You don't want to just get them all in?
In a hand against Steven Friedlander, who moves all in.
You want them? You might as well just get them all in.
Hey, don't push around my man, Jack Ury.
Jack gonna make the call. Yeah, puts himself at risk. Friedlander shows a full house. This might be it for Jack Ury.
You're in trouble.
Show us.
Easy fingers in trouble right now.
Show us.
Go ahead and turn around. Turn over.
Turn over.
Show us.
Pocket signs for a better full house.
And Jack Ury will survive this all in unless the last 6 of the deck hits.
That's a 4 on the turn. He's still good. River card's a deuce, and Jack Ury doubles up.
I can't wait until I'm 96 years old, have the best hand, and slow roll some punk half my age. You go, Jack.
Let's catch up with the mad genius of poker, Mike Caro. The river card is out. Mike bets 5,000 into Rick Martis.
Caro wrote the chapter in Doyle Brunson's Super System about draw poker, but this is hold on.
You have to reason this out. There's a queen, there's a 6, there's a 7, there's a 3, and there's a 9. I don't understand it.
Finally, someone with my analytical skills.
Consider the order they came in.
I always look at the order too.
Well, I have a 7.
Martis folded.
That would have been bad. You probably should have called.
Oh, he's torturing him now.
You may look.
No, if Martis looks, everyone else, we got to see them too.
Martis doesn't feel good about it.
We got to see him now.
Caro was bluffing.
It's genius.
I know.
Over to bracelet winner Ellie Alezra's table. Ellie saw a flop but folded after retired boxer Keely Madrid and Cameron Shashuri bet. After the river, Shashuri bets only 400.
I guess this would be an easy call then. I call. I got queens. Queens.
Shashuri is wearing the drapes from my old bachelor pad.
That's a winner?
Shashuri will give it up. And Madrid will win. Well, take it easy, Keely. You just won the round, not the fight.
As a pro boxer, Keely was 8-0 with 4 knockouts.
Back to the featured table now.
Walk like a man. Talk like
Still
a
singing?
man.
That's unfortunate.
Can you hit the high notes good?
I can, not like that though.
You can't do the. You can't hit like the walk like a man.
You can do it. The trick is doing it with power.
Oh no, I can't do that.
Walk
I can't.
like a man, talk like a man.
Can Frankie Valli sue these guys?
But the guy that does the show has to be able to zing it out there. Even with the microphone, he's got to put it out there.
I think that made.
I mean, Fossil Man's got to be shut down.
Greg Raymer with one big score already in this World Series, wearing the same stone necklaces he wore during his main event victory.
The entire chip.
Jack 10 offsuit, a raise to 1,000.
Raymer gives some great advice. He simply says, play every hand as well as you can.
Ace 9 offsuit for Alexander. He'll come along.
Well, already Jason's not playing this hand as well as he could. He should have raised from the button.
26-year-old Dennis Baltz, a financial advisor from White Plains, New York, with ace 8 of diamonds. He calls.
Another ace. There's no place for an ace, Lon.
4, queen 9, all clubs. Alexander with a pair of 9s. Raymer up and down straight draw. Baltz missed. Baltz checks. Raymer now on a draw. Bets 2,000.
Well, there is Raymer, the aggressor. He's on a straight draw. He has no club in his hand. And I probably don't call if I'm Jason because I got middle pair and I don't have a club either.
Under Raymer's glare, Jason with the call. He has the best hand. Baltz folds.
Well, Jason's smarter than me, and frankly, he should ask Fossil Man to buy him a drink if he's going to look at him that way.
Heads up to the turn. 7 of spades. Raymer gets no help. Missed his draw and he checks.
I wouldn't have minded a bet there from Raymer to go along with his stare down. You know, see what Jason's made of.
Now Jason comes out for 3,000.
I apologize to Jason. He is playing this hand well.
And Raymer gives it up.
Good hand.
Thank you, brother.
Jason's been playing the part of poker ace very well so far, never breaking character even when faced with the Fossil Man stare down.
I have worked with Michael Richards, Faye Dunaway, Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci. You think I'm worried about a guy like Greg Raymer with lizard eyes? So I put these things on. You know what this says? This says I don't need to see the cards because I can't see anything through this. Come on, do I look like a guy who is nervous about his day 2 chances? Do I look like a rock? Unfortunately, this is my poker hand. So. I always say to the pros when they start to sass me, I go, you know, let me just tell you, if I lose to you, no dignity lost, I'm supposed to lose to you. If you lose to me, you will never live this down. So make your decisions very carefully.
Jason wants to get better at poker, but understanding the mathematical aspect of the game, he says, is like dental work to him.
Out in the field, a celebrity who has made the transition to poker player, Oscar nominee and 05 ladies champ, Jen Tilley. She's ahead of the pocket 9s of Christian Jepsen. Jen has 2 pair 8s and 6s. Turn is a queen. No help to Jepsen.
Jepsen can still knock out Tilley with a 5-7, 9, 10, or queen.
That's a lot of outs. The river card is a 7. Jepsen wins with a better 2 pair 9s and 7s. Jennifer Tilley eliminated.
First time Jennifer Tilley has ever made it to day 2 of the main event, and it is a short day. They always take their water when they leave.
Jen's boyfriend, Phil Locke, just bet enough to put his opponent, Yanni Sontula, all in. Action on Sontula.
By the way, in No Limit Poker, it's very important to be able to say after like 4 days of play, and I was never all in once. But I'm not a big believer in that, you know? Where's the excitement in that?
Well, this would put Sontula all in, not Locke, but this would be for most of Phil's chips.
Sontula calls.
Man, you better. Well, I think I'm a favorite. Yeah.
Phil with a pair of trays and a flush draw. Sontula with the nut flush draw.
Nice hand.
All right, turn card. It's a 6.
That's a good card.
He paired up.
Phil needs a king or a 3.
Count it out, kid.
The river card is an 8, and Sontula wins the hand and doubles up through Phil Locke. Phil under 10,000.
I think
You want me to wait for you?
No, I feel like I'm a favorite to last more than 3 hours. That's what I would feel statistically is.
All right. I'll take side action on that.
Jen Tilley knows her man. Nothing like a wager to get Phil's competitive fire stoked. Back inside the Rio poker room, Todd Brunson has just been eliminated.
Good luck.
Doral Brunson went out on day 1. Now Todd on day 2.
Hey, did your sister beat you in the last longer again this year?
Pamela Brunson does win her $1,000 last longer bet with Todd.
You gonna be out too? I'll save you a seat at the bar.
That bar better be pretty well stocked.
He's not here with me. Where are you heading to right now?
I'm not gonna wait all night. Let's go. I'll wait one more hand.
I guess Gavin will last one more hand.
No, I'll find.
What's with poker pros' loved ones having no faith in them? First Tilley with Locke, and now Todd with Gavin. Sad.
Gavin's friend Joe Seabach in a hand right now on the river. Action to Joe. Each player with aces and sevens and the queen kicker. Seabach will try to win it here with a bet of 7,000. Kelly makes the call. Seabach shows his 7. Kelly shows his 7, a split pot.
There should be no split pots, Lon.
Good call.
They should have a possession arrow in poker.
Now that's genius. Across the room, Joe's father, Barry Greenstein. Uh-oh, he's signing another book.
Barry Greenstein gets knocked out so often, it's turning his book into a bestseller.
Knocked out by Eric Tomberlin.
I got one in 06 from you. So we're hoping to get another one. Thanks,
he's a book collector.
Yeah, I wonder how many duplicate signings Barry's had to do. So goodbye to another pro. One of our November 9 will earn that World Championship bracelet. The final table can be seen here on ESPN Tuesday, November 10th. Back to our featured table.
If Jason Alexander wins the main event, I think we will have a bald person boom in poker.
Mark Terry with King 9 of diamonds. He's a musician from Hamilton, Alabama.
A singer and a songwriter. That's 2 more things I can't do.
He limps in for 400. Albert Mullen, 7-6 of hearts.
Remember, he's a sports writer. That I can do. Not well, but I do it.
He limps in. Jonathan Lewis now in the small blind.
I have nothing in common with that guy. Nothing.
8-7 offsuit. He calls. The big blind, Greg Raymer, Queen Jack of clubs.
A la Barry Greenstein, Raymer now gives an autographed fossil to the player who knocks him out of a tournament.
From the big blind, Raymer does check his option, and 4 players will see the flop.
Everybody here looks guilty.
Here we go. The flop is Jack 8-8. Lewis hits big with trip 8s. And he comes out with 1,500. Raymer with 2 pair and well behind.
By the way, I bought a fossil card protector from Raymer. It didn't help me, and he won't give me a refund.
1,500 is the call from Raymer. Terry, 4 diamonds to a flush, makes the call.
Terry short on chips. He'll come along.
Manolan, the only one who missed the flop, and he gets out of the way.
Smart sports writer.
3 players will see the turn card. Lewis ahead with 3 8s. Turn card is a Jack. Wow, Raymer hits a full house. Jack's full. Lewis, second best full house.
Raymer turns those percentages around. Lewis no longer can count this pot as his, and Terry's drawn dead.
8's full for Lewis is no good. He checks. Raymer checks.
Lewis could be wary. Raymer slow plays his monster.
Now Mark Terry on the flush draw checks. Woe is he who hits his flush on the river. And the river card is another diamond. Raymer gets the check mark, but Terry hits that diamond flush. That'll be trouble. Lewis first to act with second best full house. Bets 3,500.
Everybody check the turn, so Lewis might think he's best.
12.
Raymer raises with a better full house.
Terry in a bad spot here. He was drawn dead. He made his hand. He's only got about 10 big blinds left, and there's a bet and a raise in front of him for all of his chips.
If he calls, he'll be done, and he does make the call. Lewis now.
Lewis would be getting almost 4-1 on a call here.
He's got a full house and lays it down.
Nice lay down.
Raymer shows his full house, and Mark Terry knows he's been eliminated from the main event. That's a tough beat. You hit the card you're waiting for, only to have it cost you all your chips.
Worst card in the deck for the river. For you, I mean, the worst card you could possibly ask for.
You know, for a moment there, I thought Terry was going to sign one of his songs and give it to Raymer.
The 2004 champ always seems to be right at home in the huge fields and bright lights of the main event. He'll be that much tougher to beat now.
The World Series of Poker, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Main event.
Back inside the Rio, 14 of the 20 past main event champions who entered this year survived day 1. 7 are playing today, including the 2000 world champ Chris Ferguson, running well here on day 2. Though the 5-time bracelet winner will fold that hand, but it doesn't hurt, I guess, to have Father Donald Kloster on the rail.
What time is Mass in the Amazon room?
Nearby, another world champ, all in. He needs the good father. Johnny Chan's shove was called by Matt Woodward. Woodward ahead with pocket 9s. The river card is a queen, no help to Chan, and Johnny Chan is knocked out.
He once ruled the main event, but over the last 15 years or so, Chan has barely made a dent in the main event.
Elsewhere, Mike Matusow on the move, not knocked out, just joining the table of Greg Mueller.
If you want me at your table, I've won 1.5 pots today. I'll play them all, right? I mean, how much of this has just been handed to you, by the way?
Mike makes an impression at every poker table, and he certainly made an impression on his good friend Daniel Negreanu in one particular hand at the 2006 Tournament of Champions, as we'll learn in this edition of Deal Me In, brought to you by FullTiltPoker.net.
I was card dead the entire day, and I just worked and worked and worked and worked to try and get myself in position to win.
Here's the flop. It is 6 deuce 5.
It's a good flop to bet. I knew he had like a small pair. I had 2 overs and a gut shot, so I make a small bet at the pot. Daniel called.
Turn card is a jack.
I thought maybe I could win it on the turn with another bet. 35. I figured when he didn't raise me on the turn, I knew if I made a small bet at the river, it would look like a value bet.
River card is a blank. Negreanu with the check mark.
It was just a perfect card to make a small bet. And even he says, that's a good bet.
It's a good value bet. It's a good value bet.
The thing I'm real good at is betting the right amount to convince people you got a hand.
No, he folds this time.
It's just experience and stuff that I've been doing for a long time.
The value bet bluff, baby! Mike was trying to win his second straight Tournament of Champions, and he finished third. It was won by Mike Sexton. Back to our featured table, where Greg Raymer is a little bit richer after knocking off Mark Terry. Action beginning on Jason Alexander on the Jack Link's Beef Jerky Pocket Cam. He's got Obama.
Pocket 4s.
That's a lot of money.
He limps in for 500.
I gotta assume pocket 4s now is a winning hand most of the time.
I guess so, at least for the next 4 years. Action on Marco Del Duca, 23-year-old from Toronto. He has pocket 5s.
I wonder who our 55th president is going to be.
He raises to 1,500.
Maybe it'll be President Fossil Man.
There you go, Raymer with pocket deuces in the big blind.
Do you remember who our 22nd president was, Lon?
You're calling?
No.
If you're calling, I'm calling.
You?
It happened before ESPN was on. I got no idea.
From the big blind, Raymer calls. 3 players will see the flop.
Maybe it was Millard Fillmore.
Deuces against 4s against 5s. Raymer hits a set of deuces in the flop. And he checks. Jason Alexander with pocket 4s.
Jason thinking about doing something stupid.
He checks. Del Duca
25.
Pocket 5s will bet 2,500.
Well, Del Duca tries to seize the moment, but it's not the right moment.
Raymer hit the set on the flop, leaps into action, raises to 7,000.
Have a lovely round.
That means fold.
Del Duca might want to ask for a refund here. I don't think he's going to get it.
He does kick it in.
Good fold.
This bet.
Good fold.
And Raymer will take that pot.
And he graciously shows his set.
And Raymer's check raise was suspicious, and they folded.
Was I wrong?
3,000 unreasonable.
Should I not have done that?
Unreasonable.
So many little things you can say, just random,
That was my favorite line in all 9 years of that show.
Which line was this?
George was having an affair with the cleaning woman in an office, and the boss called him on it and said, "I understand you're having an affair with the cleaning woman on a desk in your office." And George's response was that wrong? Should I not have done that? Because if anyone had told me when I started here that kind of thing was frowned upon,
Jason Alexander delivers those lines now just as well as he did 18 years ago on Seinfeld.
Over to table 2, someone who's been very entertaining through the years, Chris Ferguson. We've seen him dance and slice bananas with playing cards. Chris has ace-queen right now versus the ace-king of Ken Kelly. Here's the flop, queen, deuce, queen. Ferguson hits trip queens.
As usual, it's better to be lucky than good. And of course, Chris is usually good.
He's going to lead out with an almost unbeatable hand, makes it 8,000.
Kelly owns a painting business in Northport, Florida.
Well, he might paint himself into a corner. He calls here.
Yeah, Kelly's going to trust his read, and his read is that Ferguson did not hit any part of that flop. His read happens to be wrong.
Turn card 7 of hearts. Kelly drawing dead now.
This is where Chris practices his game theory optimal strategy that's well beyond my grasp to figure out the exact right amount to bet.
I would imagine 17,000 is the exact amount to bet.
I'm all in.
Ooh, he's got Ferguson covered.
I call.
The amateur with a really bad read on the world champion, and he will double up Jesus.
God. And once again, Ferguson plays his opponent perfectly.
Yeah, and he had to have a queen. I don't believe it.
The 2000 main event champ continues to roll up to 145,000 chips here on day 2 of the main event.
Series of Poker, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Main Event.
Back at 3-0, Phil Locke is all in pre-flop, trailing the pocket eights of Tien Show. On the flop, Phil pairs his queen to take the lead.
Someone please page Jennifer Tilly. Locke all in and having fun.
Turn card is a 4 of clubs, Show with a flush draw.
So now Show can knock out Locke with an 8 or a club.
And it's a club on the river. Show wins the hand and knocks off Phil Locke.
That had you going.
Okay, rebuy. I'm going to rebuy.
Well, that'll be good for 2010, Phil.
I'll bet you Jennifer Tilly did not go far.
So Phil Locken's a lousy 0-9, failing to cash even once. Meanwhile, Vitaly Lunkin, who's had a fantastic 2009 in a big pot on the turn, with Samil Dogan-Yilmaz, who's moved all in on him. We're just going to call him Sea-Dog. He's got a king-high flush, Lunkin a pair of jacks, and the nut flush draw.
Lunkin's won bracelets in back-to-back years and also made the final table of the Horse World Championship this year.
He needs almost 26,000 to call. He does. Sea-Dog shows him the flush. Lunkin on the draw.
Lunkin can still knock out the guy with the unpronounceable name with a river spade.
And there it is. An ace-high flush will win it for Lunkin.
Check. I said flash before, not the flop race. All in.
Lunkin's been playing good in 09 and running good.
Across the room, Lex Veldhuis has called to put himself at risk. He's got an up and down straight draw. Jonas Danielson leads with a pair of 9s. King on the turn.
Lex needs an ace or a 6.
River card is an 8. Not good enough for Lex Veldhuis, knocked out by Danielson.
Good luck.
Lex's unorthodox play finally caught up to him. Almost 30 big blinds left when he called all in on a draw.
Elsewhere, Elia Lesra has been pretty quiet today at his table. Once again, he's watching Keely Madrid and a hand, this time against Farzad Rouhani after the river card.
Keely theatrically waiting for Rouhani to muck. That will irk you if you're in a hand with him.
Is that hand dead? Has it passed the line? No?
Rouhani doesn't want to look him up, and he doesn't want to give it up.
Keely right in his face.
Likes to stand over his opponent.
Rouhani gives it up, and Madrid shows a bluff.
God. Look at it. Is this a bluff or what? This is the only time I know you bluff.
Elia Lesra impressed with that. Keely Madrid living on the edge here at the main event, been hanging in there so far. As we go back to the feature table, prepare yourself, Norman, for the Jack Link's Beef Jerky wild card hand. It's your job, and you at home, to figure out what the player holding the wild card hand has. Action beginning on Jason Alexander. Does he have it? Not the wild card hand, but he has ace-9 of spades.
Oh, well, remember, with his sunglasses on, he can't even see his own cards, so Jason's actually playing his own Jack Link's Beef Jerky wild card hand.
Well, he says he'd rather win a bracelet than an Emmy. Jason raised it up to 1,600.
Raised it blind.
Marco Del Duca with Queen-Jack offsuit makes the call.
Well, I never like calling a raise with Queen-Jack off from middle position. Why?
Now to Raymer in the big blind, and he has the Jack Link's wild card hand.
Man, I can't get into the mind of a world champion. I can barely get into the mind of a meter mate.
But you're going to have to try.
Raymer could have a wide range of hands from the big blind, getting 4-1 on a call here. I'm going to put him on baby suited connectors.
All right, the flop is deuce, ace-5, all clubs.
Nice flop for baby connectors if they're 3-4 of clubs.
Alexander with top pair. Raymer first to act. That's 2,500.
Forget baby connectors for Raymer. If I'm Jason Alexander, I know Fossil Man can be aggressive, so now I'm thinking Raymer's got a club draw or maybe just middle pair.
6.
And with top pair, Jason raises to 6,000. Del Duca folds.
I like that raise from Jason. He should be able to find out if he has the best hand here.
Raymer needs 3,500 more to make the call. And he does just that.
No, he just calls, so I'm thinking now that Raymer has a club draw. Oh, and don't forget, Jason's playing blind. He doesn't even know what his own hand is.
All right, turn card is another club, this time a king. That's 4 clubs on board.
That is not a card Jason Alexander wanted to see with his pair of aces.
Raymer reaching. He's got the orange and yellow chips, and that equals 13,000.
That's 2/3 of the pot, and if I'm Jason, I'm thinking, if Raymer's got a club, I'm drawn dead. I'd have to muck.
And he does muck.
Good bet.
Raymer will take the pot.
I obviously had the best hand already, though.
And he had it on the flop.
That wasn't the only thing good about that card is I now was fully confident I had the best hand.
I was half right. He had 2 clubs, not 1. Half right's good for me.
Raymer wins the Jack Link's Beef Jerky wild card hand. Jason handed over a few chips, but it could have been worse. The 04 champ gets a little healthier.
The 2009 World Series of Poker is presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side. And in part by WSOP.com. Get official items for your home poker game at WSOP.com. And PokerStars.net, the world's largest poker site.
Welcome back inside the Rio. Day 2 rolls on. It's 05 World Champ Joe Hachem.
How are you?
Very good, champ. How are you?
You look fabulous, as always, and you smell even better. And that is really the mark of a champion. Are you playing tonight?
I'm playing tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Perfect. All right, baby.
Cheers.
Take care, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
Good to see you.
Let's hear it for Joe Hachem.
Yes!
And after visiting with Greg Raymer, Hachem now goes into the gallery and joins Raymer's wife, Cheryl.
Jason rubbing elbows with a couple of world champs. Meanwhile, at table 2, the 2000 world champ in a 3-way pot pre-flop. Chris Ferguson with pocket 10s. Steve Weinstein leads with pocket kings. And Aime Dongstra has king-queen offsuit. The flop 9-6 queen. Weinstein's kings are still ahead. Ferguson did not improve. Dongstra with a pair of queens.
Another one of Chris's skills is quantitative analysis and securities trading, but he's never given me a tip.
Ferguson first to act. He bets 2,400.
Well, I should have given Chris a tip there. Don't bet!
Weinstein now leading with those kings.
All in.
Moves all in. That's his last 15,400. Dongstra now. He has top pair, and he puts it in the muck. Now to Ferguson, who's had a great day, but how lucky does he feel?
Let's see if Chris gets the hint.
Ferguson has Weinstein covered easily, but Ferguson will fold. And Weinstein takes that pot. Champion makes good folds as well. Chris having a very good day, too, so far. Out in the field, 96-year-old Jack Ury has been eliminated.
Maybe I'll do better next year if they let me play.
Well, George Burns booked a gig at Caesars for his 100th birthday. I think we'll see Jack Ury here at the Rio at age 100.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys next year, 97.
Thank you.
Across the room, funny man Brad Garrett in a hand on the flop.
And sleep.
He's toying with Simon Bluen.
I'm here to have fun. I'm here to meet men. I'm here to meet guys. I don't care what happens.
We have similar interests.
Turn card is a tray. Pairs the board.
3,000.
Bluen checked. 3,000 from Brad.
You don't make a lot of guy friends betting the turn.
I guarantee you 3 hours, you will be dancing with me. But in a good way, not like a Krichenko way.
Russian pro Alex Krichenko in the red takes the brunt of Brad's latest salvo. Bluen folds. Brad takes the pot. Back at the featured table, Jason Alexander's having a good day sitting next to Greg Raymer. Action that was on Jonathan Lewis, and he folds. Raymer looks down at a tray and a 5 offsuit. He folds. Jason Alexander with pocket aces.
He needs a better card protector for pocket aces.
15.
Guard them with your life.
He's going to raise it up to 1,500, 3 times the big blind. Action folds over to Dennis Baltz. He has pocket 8s.
Pocket 8s are okay, but they don't need a card protector.
He makes the call over to Marco Del Duca with pocket 7s.
With pocket 7s here, you need protection from yourself.
He does. He does make the call. Action folds over to Manulin.
In the big blind.
King 4 offsuit.
Those are ugly cards, but he likes the chips already in the pot. Sports writers can't resist a free lunch.
Cost him 1,000 more to call. He does that. So 3 followed Jason in. How do you like the aces now?
They look doomed.
The flop is 5-6 tray. Jason's still good with his aces. Raymer missed out on 2 pair. Manulin with an up and down straight draw. Checks. Now Jason with the leading aces.
36.
3,600.
Jason would like to get rid of the crumb bums and shoe clerks.
But with pocket 8s, Baltz makes the call. Del Duca now. With pocket 7s, moves all in.
Understandable with his overpair to the board and a gut shot.
Marco moves all in for 11,000.
That's 11,008 from Del Duca. Manulin now.
I am no longer responsible for the sports writer if he calls here.
He's open-ended.
He came in with junk. He flopped a straight draw, and he's trying to get really lucky.
Alexander ahead, but sweating.
Call.
Makes the call for 8,200 more. Baltz says goodbye. 3 players will see a turn card.
I tell you, these aces just seem doomed.
Yeah, they do. All right, turn card is another 6. Jason is still best with the aces. Aces up now.
With an all-in player, the other players often will just check it out in this spot.
Manolan does check a missed draw. Jason in good shape here to take down this nice spot. He checks.
Del Duca needs a 4 or a 7 or he's gone.
River card is a jack of diamonds. Alexander's aces get the check mark.
It looks like Jason is going to take in a nice-sized pot here.
Manolan checked. Jason checks. He's happy with no more action. Time to open up. Alexander shows the aces. Everyone else comes up second best. Marco Del Duca, worst of all, is knocked off.
Del Duca's gone, but that's a nice zippered sweat top.
Thank you.
So Del Duca will make his exit.
That's the play of the night.
A lot of bad things could have happened to his aces, but Jason faded them all.
And this is one actor with a lot of day 2 chips.
Kind of a scary board, wasn't it?
That was a really scary board. I was sure somebody had tripped up on that. That was more than my little heart ever wants to see.
Breathe easy, you're in better shape than most.
You know, if you could like go back in time and star in like any movie you ever wanted, what would be one of you? What comes to mind when I ask you that question?
Network.
Network?
Good movie.
One of my favorite things.
I would have thought you'd have picked more of a comedy.
No.
So you're looking more to be that nasty guy from Pretty Woman?
Yeah.
I forget the name of your character in that one.
Stucky. You know, the funny thing about that movie is they shot a different movie than it was on the page. The scene where I attack her, we did a version where she attacks me. Beats the crap out of me. So, you know, who knew?
You know, we did a version of the 2006 main event where Jamie Gold doesn't win.
Action begins here on Jacqueline Scott, a real estate broker in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, on the Jack Link's Beef Jerky Pocket Cam, ace 10 of spades.
She's a former registered nurse.
Raise 50.
The lady's coming after me.
Jason in the big blind. Action now on Albert Manolan, and he's got a tray we know of.
My Russian sports writer friend, he borrowed one of my smoking jackets.
He makes a call. Raymer in the small blind now. Ace Queen offsuit.
If they offered me $1 million to endorse Ace Queen, I would turn it down.
I hope I got something.
He makes the call. Now in the big blind, Jason Alexander. Queen tray of clubs.
That is not something, that is nothing. Well, suited nothing.
Now he'll come along at a discount.
Jason couldn't resist getting 5.5 to 1 on a call.
The flop is Queen 5, Queen, trip queens for both Alexander and Raymer. Greg has the top kicker, though.
See, Jason, what happens when you play rags? You get into trouble.
Greg checked. Jason, who finished day 1 with almost 90,000 chips, bets 2,500.
Sometimes when you protect or defend your blind because the price is right, it costs you dearly.
Jacqueline Scott folded, as did Albert Manolan. Raymer needs 2,500 to call, and it's just a call from Greg.
By the way, with suited cards, you will flop a flush draw 11% of the time, Jason, and even then, you only make the flush 35% of the time.
Turn card 10 of clubs. It's a swing and a miss for Jason. Raymer with the best hand checks again.
Yeah, he'll sit on it. Did I mention how much I now love Ace Queen?
Jason bets 6,000.
By the way, Raymer has a poker posture problem. The way he sits, if Jason Alexander were on the other side of him, he wouldn't be able to see him.
Another smooth call from Greg. River card 4 of spades does not help Jason Alexander. Greg Raymer with the check mark.
In Pretty Woman, I think Jason Alexander looked just like this before Richard Gere fired him.
Raymer checks a third time. He's reeling Jason in. Jason's going to bet 12,000.
I hope you don't have those pocket fives because I call.
What's your queen?
Queen tray for Jason.
Oh, you.
Are you allowed to hit the other guy after you lose? Is that wrong?
I thought you had the pocket fives.
I don't have the pocket fives. How can you have a queen when I have a queen? What kind of bull cookie is that?
Two big stacks bumping heads. A nod goes to the former world champ. Jason Alexander now down to 75,000 chips. Greg Raymer up to 127,000 in his quest for a second world championship. Norman, the main event has become many things to many people, and in recent years, it has become a showcase for amateurs. But as day 2 rolls along, it's nice to see how many big names are rolling right along with it.
Indeed, Ferguson, Matusow, and Seidel still loom, as does patent attorney turned poker pro Greg Raymer.
The fossil man with the funny glasses continues to impress. He won it all in 2004, finished 25th in 05, and nearly took down the 40K championship earlier this year. If he makes another deep run here, he won't need that second bracelet to cement his legacy.
Greg would love to end this World Series where it started, at a final table.
Here it is, you and me, right here in November.
It's a date.
I don't think Jason was fully committed to that knuckle bump.
Let's go to the outer tables to find another past champion, Barry Johnston, also seated with an actor, Brad Garrett, who is currently not seated.
All right.
After he falls, can we sit down?
You cannot sit down.
Barry Johnson says, I will not stand up.
But Brad's trying to change the rhythm at this table. He has everyone else standing up.
They got to stay over here, sir.
Brad trying to get to day 3 for the first time.
Yeah, man, what a bad idea. Oh, what's a bet?
Whatever you want it to be.
You know, this isn't funny. Don't tell me you can't. I'll get your nurse.
I think Barry was telling a joke there.
Oh my gosh, not a good day to wear a thong. Who's with me? Not a thong day. Maybe going down, but we're gonna go down with a chuckle, everybody. And then we're gonna meet in the trailer. We're gonna meet in Todd Brunson's trailer. We're gonna hunt the enemy after midnight. We're gonna put our ear to the track and wait for the enemy.
Any emblem.
Barry Johnston thinking, what have I done to deserve this?
Elsewhere, another big talker, Mike the Mouth Matusow, who's seated at the same table as Greg Mueller. Matusow has put out a big raise pre-flop. The action folded over to Corey Burbick in the big blind. He gets out of the way. Matusow will take the pot.
Matusow is a professor at Deep Stacks University. I believe they are the Raging Cajuns.
Come after me. That's what they all do. When they double me up, and I go to the mouth table.
The Mouth says he and Scotty Wynn are the 2 best short stack tournament players in the world.
I've had so much practice in that, Norman. I'm still not good at it, though. Let's go to table 2. We find Chris Jesus Ferguson, as well as Roland DeWolf, who's picked up a little something from a fan on the rail.
Boy, now Roland's stolen the thunder from Phil Ivey's main event entrance next year.
I look like an idiot from Northern Europe.
Chris is thinking, no, you just look like an idiot.
You want to swap, Chris? Want to try?
I think I'm okay. No, I think I can do without it.
Jesus with a smart play there. Roland does love having a good time at the table.
Action on European Ime Dongstra. The warehouse worker from the Netherlands has ace-king.
Raise.
Dongstra calls himself a poker rookie. I think he's a ringer.
He does raise to 1,500. That's a standard raise of 3 times the big blind. Chris Ferguson, 10-4 into the muck.
Can't see Chris as a Viking.
Action folds around to Roland DeWolf, who won his first bracelet this year at the World Series. Roland with ace-queen offsuit and the small blind.
Roland now has a bracelet, a European Poker Tour title, and a WPT title.
And his regular hat back. He re-raises to 7,000. Back to Dongstra now. He shoves, and DeWolf calls immediately. Dongstra at risk, but ahead.
DeWolf, another man tragically fooled by ace-queen.
And this is for most of Roland's chips, so he's in serious trouble.
But Roland seems untroubled at the moment.
His ace-queen trying to overcome the ace-king. Here's the flop. Jack 4 ace. Dongstra's kicker keeping him in the lead.
You could just call and see a flop and put it in.
Even if Roland had just called pre-flop, all the chips would have been in now.
Turn card 5 of clubs. 1 card from doubling up is Dongstra.
Yeah, Dongstra needs to dodge a queen to double up.
And the river card is an 8. And that'll be good for the ace-king. It doubles up.
The poker veteran is somewhat displeased. The poker rookie is pleased.
So a nice win for the amateur. The action started friendly enough at this table for DeWolf, but as the dust settles, he's laughing no more.
The 2009 World Series of Poker is presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side. And in part by WSOP.com. Sign up for the official WSOP e-newsletter at WSOP.com and FullTiltPoker.net. Learn, chat, and play with the pros. The World Series of Poker presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Main event.
Welcome back to the Rio. Day 2 continuing here at the main event of the 40th Annual World Series of Poker. The featured table, action starts on Greg Raymer. Raymer looks down at pocket jacks.
Greg is very active in efforts to get online poker licensed and regulated within the U.S.
He raises to 1,600 pocket trays for Jason Alexander.
Jason is very active in efforts to give Greg Raymer more chips at this featured table.
Jason calls.
There we go.
Here we go.
I can't look at you with those cockamamie things, huh?
Then do us all a favor, Jason, and rip them off of him.
Over to the 26-year-old World Series rookie, financial advisor from White Plains, New York, Dennis Baltz with Pocket Kings.
45.
And he's going to re-raise it to 4,500.
When there are 3 pocket pairs, Lon, the highest pair has the best chance of winning.
Thank you, Mr. Genius.
Sure.
Back to Raymer now, and Raymer's going to re-pop it to 20,000 with his jacks.
Well, Jason, I believe, will get the message here.
Yep, he does indeed. He lays it down. Now back to Baltz with a better hand, the Kings.
We're getting a little Hollywood from Dennis Baltz here. He appears to be grimacing with his Pocket Kings.
He needs just over 15,000 to call.
Well, if he re-raises now after this act, I think Raymer will know he's well behind.
I'd have to. Wow, the King's going to the muck.
I'm sorry, he folded?
He folded.
What, he only plays pocket quads?
Raymer will take the pot.
He folded.
Since you couldn't call, it had to be a good fold. Because you're not throwing away aces or kings, right?
I did throw away kings, and I hope it's not on TV because my friends back home will be roasting me for dinner.
Baltz folded under the glare of those glasses, which have always been more than a fashion statement for the Falsa Man, as we learn in this Straight from the Pros, brought to you by PokerStars.net. In the 2004 main event, Raymer was in a hand with Matt Hilger and keenly watched for tells behind those glasses as he calculated a bluff with Queen Deuce.
I hadn't played a hand for a pretty good while, so I just thought, this is a good spot to steal the blinds, steal the antes. I made it 11,000 to go. Matt called with Jack 9 of clubs. When I raise pre-flop and only one person calls me, then I'm gonna bet the flop the vast majority of the time. I bet 15,000. Matt called and didn't seem entirely pleased with the situation.
Now the turn card.
Now, I didn't know what the turn card was, but I could see on his face that he hated that card. And he checks, and I'm like, oh, it's another spade. Then it's a king. Here's definitely a card that might have hit me. So I decided, I don't think he can call. And he thought it through for a while and laid his hand down.
Raymer won the hand with great aggressive play.
If Matt had successfully hidden that tell, then he probably wins the hand.
Raymer's aggressive style paid off as he won the big one in 04.
With that win, Greg joined the family of main event champions. The patriarch of that family would have to be Doyle Brunson, whose main event record is stunning. 2 titles, 5 final tables, 7 cashes, and 37 main events. Out into the field, and his daughter, the only Brunson left standing, Pam, in a hand right now against Tom Schneider. Pam bet 8,000 after the turn.
Schneider, the 2007 Player of the Year.
He bets enough to put Pam Brunson all in. Pam makes the call. She's at risk. Schneider turns over a diamond flush draw. Pam leads with a pair of jacks.
Black.
River card, yeah, it is black. And it's another jack. Trip's good enough for a double up.
Pam cashed in the 07 main event. And frankly, I think she's the real Texas Dollar.
Pam up to 55,000 to another member of our poker family, Joe Seabach. He's got a chance to knock out Otto Richard. Seabach in good shape pre-flop with King Queen against Richard's Queen Jack.
What about my luck?
You should get them like him,
I think they're here because of you.
I probably
All right,
will.
now the flop.
I probably will.
A pair of jacks to Richard, up and down straight draw for Joe.
Richard studies French lit at La Sorbonne. I believe they are the Raging Cajuns.
Richard's still best after the turn. River card is a 6, and Otto Richard will win the hand and double up through Joe Seabach.
I'm sure Joe's dad, Barry Greenstein, might tell Joe how he misplayed that hand.
Joe still with 90,000. Over to Seabach's friend and Poker Road radio show co-host Gavin Smith in a hand with Jonathan Tamayo after the river.
2 poker pros here. Smith, the old man, though, at 40. Tamayo just 23.
Gavin bets 3,700 is called. Gavin shows 9s. Tamayo shows 10s to take the pot.
When Gavin was 23, he used to win pots like that.
Tamayo already with 7 World Series cashes to his credit takes the pot. Gavin Smith now down to just over 12,000 chips.
And uncharacteristically silent.
Back to our featured table and the Jack Links Beef Jerky wild card hand. We conceal one player's whole card so you at home can play along. Action folded over to Greg Raymer. And Greg has the wild card hand.
Oh, I'm going to nail it.
Your record would indicate otherwise, but we'll see. A raise to 1,600 from Greg.
He's in early position, so it should be a big hand. Pocket jacks or maybe ace-queen suited.
Pocket nines
35.
for Jason Alexander and a re-raise to 3,500.
Raymer knows I hate ace-queen, so he's going to play it. Players try to narrow an opponent's holding to a range of hands based on position, size of the bet, stack size, table image, and previous betting patterns. Me, I just guess.
Raymer called. The flop is ace, queen, six, two spades.
If Fossil Man's got jacks, he doesn't like that flop. If it's ace-queen, he loves it.
He checks.
Well, if Raymer had jacks, he might have bet there to see where he stood.
6,000.
Jason bet 6,000.
With ace-queen, I think Raymer was more likely to check to disguise his big hand. So I'm going to put him on ace-queen now.
Raymer makes the call.
Now, this is called stringing the non-leading man actor along.
Turn card is a 5.
Yeah, if you're Jason, Raymer's check call on the flop would worry you. You got to think your nines are second best.
Raymer checks again. Now Jason, who's seen this before, he checks.
And Jason wisely slowing down. That check call on the flop definitely worried him.
All right, river card now is a deuce of hearts.
That card can't help anybody anywhere in this casino. I'm convinced Raymer now has the best hand.
Raymer now reaching for chips. That's 7,000.
If Raymer's got aces up, that's a great value bet. Jason's getting 4-1 on a call here, and he might think it's a value bet bluff.
Oh, Greg, you're just taking me down.
Jason's gonna call.
Go ahead.
Ace-king.
I said ace-queen. Half right's good for me. Better than half wrong.
Can't lose to a nicer man.
Well, that's kind of you to say. I feel the same way. Like I said before, if I have to give this fossil away, I hope it's to you.
It doesn't look likely now.
Greg got sneaky on the Jack Link's beef jerky wild card hand and adds more of Alexander's chips to his stack. Jason hoping day 3 isn't slipping away.
The World Series of Poker, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky, 40th Annual Memories.
Last year's run was amazing.
Matusow hits his queen! You got it right here, baby!
I mean, I had this amazing persona of the power of positive thinking.
You don't understand. I'm destined.
And I really believed in my heart that there was no way I was going to lose a hand.
It's a 6!
Guys, I'm gonna tell you, I know it's coming. You don't understand.
So it was shocking I didn't make the final table.
River's a king, and that will be the end of Mike Matusow.
My heart's being ripped from the shreds from the inside out. It was pretty tough.
Mike capped a great 2008 World Series with a deep main event run. 2009 has been disappointing. He's hoping this main event will turn his luck around. Right now, he's watching Greg Mueller collect a pot off Lauren Finkelstein.
You may recall Justin Bonomo's Panorama Towers prop bet. Justin bet that someone from that condo complex would win a bracelet this year, and Mueller won the bet for him.
Now I know why you want 2 bracelets and I'm on the rail here, by the way.
Matusow struggling mightily in 09, just 1 cash at this World Series.
Yeah, Norman, we've said that about a number of pros. At another table sits Dewey Tomko trying to get something going today. He's got about 50,000 chips. He puts out a bet. His opponent lays it down, and Dewey takes the pot.
Dewey inducted into the Poker Hall of Fame in 2008, 3-time bracelet winner and twice runner-up in the main event in 1982 to Jack Strauss and in 2001 to Carlos Mortensen. And if you ever see him on a golf course, walk the other way before he takes your money.
To another main event runner-up, Eric Seidel. He's all in going to the river against Rainer Mayer. Seidel with pocket aces and in the lead. Mayer with a pair of queens and a flush draw.
I got run around 3 times.
River card is 10 of hearts, and the aces will do the trick. Seidel wins, and he's up to 58,000.
Seidel's career World Series numbers are sublime. 56 cashes, 31 final tables, 8 bracelets, 4 of them in the 1990s, and 4 bracelets this decade.
He is one of the greats. Back to table 2, where Roland DeWolf has won a few chips back since being crippled. He's in a hand right now with Peter Gellenchair from Hungary. DeWolf with queen 6 of clubs. Gellenchair pocket aces going to the flop. The flop is king ace tray. Gellenchair gets another ace.
Roland may want his Viking headgear back for this hand.
A 21-year-old Gellenchair checks. DeWolf wants to get frisky, bets 2,000.
Roland had raised pre-flop and now makes a continuation donation to Peter Gellenchair.
Gellenchair in his first World Series of Poker makes a call there. He played 30 events with 2 cashes this year. Turn card now is another tray. Gellenchair gets the check mark with a full boat.
Ace is full.
Again, he checks it.
That's the 3rd straight betting round. Gellenchair is sat on his monster.
Roland checks, drawing dead. It's a 6 of spades on the river. DeWolf paired his 6.
Oh, Gellenchair is going to wait no longer.
55-50 is the bet.
Not the time here for Roland to get cute.
If he raises all in, I hope he gets a decent Viking funeral.
Roland doesn't have many more chips than that, and the London Pro makes the good laydown. So Roland now trying to figure a way to turn his main event around. Gellenchair, on the other hand, almost got all of the bracelet winner's chips, but he slipped away on the river.
If I win the main event, will you shave your hair?
Only Perry Friedman. Perry Friedman wins the main event. He can do anything he wants to my hair.
You're really gambling there. It'd be good for you too, though. You look better.
Ferguson without hair? That's like Angelina Jolie without a baby in her arms.
Roland's chip stack may be down, but not his knack for needling. Let's go back to the featured table. Greg Raymer has been holding over Jason Alexander as of late. Right now, action is on Jamie Dowick, 34 years old, from Canada. Jamie looks down at ace-10 offsuit.
Dowick just bought the Toronto Rock of the National Lacrosse League. He could have bought a Jaguar or a sailboat, but he wanted an indoor professional lacrosse team.
His kids play indoor lacrosse. Dowick with a raise to 2,000. Action over to Greg Raymer, ace-8 of hearts in the small blind.
Raymer could have purchased the entire Arena Football League after he won the main event in 2004, but instead I think he just bought a bigger house.
Wise decision. He calls for 1,700. Dowick and Raymer heads up to the flop. The flop is 5-6-4. Dowick with a 2-1 advantage, holding the bigger ace. Greg picks up a gut shot straight draw.
Who buys a lacrosse team? Can't you just watch them on TV for free?
Greg checks.
ESPN shows lacrosse.
Dowick checks back. Turn card now. 10 of hearts. Dowick with a pair of 10s. Raymer adds a heart flush draw.
I like lacrosse line, but that turn card is more interesting than any goal I've ever seen.
Raymer checked. Dowick now bets 5,100.
Raymer not getting the right price to chase his straight and flush draws, unless you consider implied odds.
The man wearing the 04 World Championship bracelet will come along.
Raymer likes the implied odds, which is the ratio of what you should win to the cost of the current bet.
All right, now the river card, and Raymer hits his 8 high straight. The implied odds paid off.
If Raymer was considering implied odds, he should bet something here if he believes Dowick will call.
He is reaching. Raymer bets 12,000.
Dowick with top pair, top kicker, but if I were him, I would trade my top scorer on the Toronto Rock before I'd call this bet.
All right, Greg, I can't let you bluff me out. I call.
Straight.
And that's good enough to win a pot of almost 40,000.
Good hand.
I've got to say, I just think you make your hand more often when you're a world champion.
Terrible river.
I can't agree, but we do have very differing perspectives.
Yep, Dowick's from behind a dwindling chip stack while Raymer enjoying the proceedings from the catbird seat. Back inside the Rio, there's the main event bracelet that will be awarded on November 10th, along with $8.5 million.
Fossil Man's already got a main event bracelet at $5 million. Let somebody else win it, Greg.
Action folds around to Jamie Dowick with pocket 7s.
Dowick's been playing poker for 10 years. He's also been married for 10 years. Coincidence? I think not.
He limps in for 600. Folded over to the man with a world championship bracelet, Greg Raymer, ace-7 of hearts.
Raymer won the last main event that was held entirely at Binion's in 2004.
He limps in for 600.
We are now at the Rio lawn, in case you haven't noticed.
Oh, thank you. Jason Alexander, 10-4 of hearts. In the small blind, he calls.
He gets in pretty cheap.
Jean Desmont.
I don't know this man.
He's 33-year-old IT consultant from Belgium in the big blind with 6-deuce. Checks his option.
Consult this.
4, ace-king. Raymer catches an ace to lead. Jason Alexander paired up on his 4. He checks. Desmont missed the flop, and he checks.
I don't know who he is.
Dowick, no improvement on his pocket 7s, checks, and Raymer checks the best hand. Turn card is another 4. Bingo for Alexander. He hits trips.
Jason with trips courtesy of Fossil Man. If Raymer bets the flop, I'm not sure Jason calls
21.
Jason will bet here, though, about 2/3 of the pot, 2,100.
In fact, if Raymer had raised pre-flop with his suited ace from the button, Jason would have been gone even earlier.
Desmont folded. Dowick gets out of the way. Raymer with top pair will commit the chips.
Just a couple of guys sitting in the park waiting for an icy.
A deuce on the river. Jason Alexander earns the check mark. As you know, the deuce helps no one on the river. 4,500 from Jason.
Just the way Jason said 45, it feels like he has a hand.
Well, I want to make a big laydown for Jason Alexander. That is the question.
Put your money in. Put it in.
I need to like pretend I'm holding the skull.
You owe me. Put your money in.
Jason shouldn't talk. Loose lips sink chips.
I'm gonna look like a genius or an idiot on TV here. Whether I fold or call.
I made a career out of that.
Whether I fold or call. It's like whichever one is right and whichever one is wrong, I'm a genius or an idiot, you know? That's right. Serenity now!
That's the pool I live in, baby. I swim in that water every day.
I'm at the bottom of that pool.
Give me some other good shtick from Seinfeld I can yell out right now.
George is getting angry!
I'm gonna make either a really good or a really bad fold.
That was a good fold.
Oh, you had me, buddy.
Don't show your cards, George. It makes Newman more comfortable in his read.
I'm a genius. I'm not an idiot.
You are a genius. You retain the crown.
I got the idiot crown locked up, Lon.
So Jason gets a few chips back from Raymer. Over to table 2 in the sad saga of Roland DeWolf. He's all in with ace-tray of clubs. He's been called by Daniel Walker from Trinidad, who has ace-king. Roland, again, looking for help.
Roland's been a bit quiet of late. He doesn't have any chirping chips.
Here's the flop, and he gets a tray, so he's in the lead with a pair of trays.
Well, you see Roland's drinking water because if he wins this hand, he can entertain us again.
All right, turn card now is a 4. Roland still ahead.
Faded one time.
Walker's still looking to knock out DeWolf with a king or any heart.
River card is a 6 of spades. DeWolf wins the hand. He's hanging in there. Looks a little embarrassed about winning that hand with a pair of trays.
Roland used to be a writer, but writers don't make money. He's doing pretty well here in poker.
13,000 chips, a lot of work to do. He might be talking about that hand for a while. He's starting to make his mark on the poker world, but still best known for his biting table chatter.
I definitely am quite conversational at the poker table.
What game are we playing? You know what you should do next year? Play better. You never won one?
Roland DeWolf giving Lindgren a hard time.
I never will try and send an opponent on tilt or something like that.
David, I just didn't want to see a hobgoblin on the floor.
It's just my personality in general, just to find funny stuff to say about people.
2 elves, it comes hobgoblin, hobgoblin. So sick.
Poker can be a lot of time of patience, so sometimes you need things to not be so focused on just waiting for cards. I was on a list of people who had won a lot of things but hadn't won a bracelet, and it was definitely not a nice list to be on. But this year, I won the Pot Limit Omaha high-low split 8 or better event. A lot of the best players in the world were playing, but I managed to get there. It was so great to win a bracelet. That's one non-hold'em bracelet more than Phil Hellmuth.
Roland reminds me of a guy I play poker with in L.A., Laker Steve. The more he talks, the more he wins. If you can shut him up, you can shut him down.
Back out in the field, we find another single bracelet winner, Elia Lesra, currently watching former pro boxer Keely Madrid in his familiar stance. Once again going up against Farzad Rouhani. Madrid moved all in on the river. Clock has been called on Rouhani. He has less than a minute to make his decision.
Rouhani won a bracelet in 2008 and making a decision here for all his chips. Keely definitely has a style that will put you on tilt. Just the way he holds his hand out over the table, ready to muck his cards the moment you fold.
6.
Clock ticking down on Rouhani.
3, 2, 1. It's a dead hand.
He's going to fold. He shows a set of trays.
I have the nuts.
Keely, yeah, he does have it. He turned the nut flush.
Keely with nut flush and Rouhani with a smart laydown.
Keely knows how to use the whole ring. He's up to 50,000 chips. At another table, Mike Matusow is all in pre-flop. Been called by Corey Burbick. Matusow with king, queen, Burbick, pocket kings. The flop now 6, 4, 8. No help to Matusow.
I don't think the power of positive thinking is going to overcome 99-1 odds here. Matusow's miserable 2009 World Series about to come to an end.
Turn card, and it is coming to an end. Burbick wins the hand. Mike drawing dead.
A quiet main event for the mouth is over.
You guys. Take care.
So there will be no deep run again for Mike Matusow this year as he heads to the exit. His main event and World Series are over.
The World Series of Poker, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Main event.
Back to the Rio in the 2009 main event.
Hello, sir.
How you doing?
What might your name be?
AJ.
AJ? You know, my initials are J.A.
That reminds me of that Seinfeld episode in which George would try to spell people's last names correctly when he met them.
Action is on Alex Jalali. Ooh, his initials are AJ also. A dermatologist living in Germany, 10-8 of diamonds.
I've never met a dermatologist with the initials AJ who plays poker.
A raise to 2,000. Action folds around to Greg Raymer.
Hello, Raymer.
Raymer with an ace. Ace-queen offsuit.
You know, if you were dealt ace-queen every hand for the rest of your life, I believe you'll go broke within a week.
He calls for 2,000. King-jack from the small blind. Jason Alexander calls.
Nothing good ever comes out of playing king-jack off. A pimple has more upside to it.
Big blind folds, so 3 players will see this flop.
Actually, the dermatologist could attest to the drawbacks of a pimple.
Good idea. The flop is 10, Jack 6, all hearts. Alexander with a pair of jacks. Jalali hits a pair of 10s. Raymer with a gut shot straight draw.
Well, I stand corrected again. King-jack off is in good shape.
3,500 from Jason Alexander.
Are dermatologists always this serious?
He called with middle pair. Ace-queen, folds. Heads up to the turn. Another jack. Alexander gets the check mark with trip jacks. Jason immediately puts out 10,000.
I don't think this fellow's gonna smile anytime soon.
He looks suspiciously at Jason and calls.
The dermatologist is drawn dead.
River card now. 5 of clubs. Alexander checking out his chip stack. But then just puts in 5,000.
5,000 to a pot of 34,000? That's not a value bet, that's a fire sale.
The flush is good, otherwise I got trips.
Jason was worried about the flush. Jalali called. And Jason's 3 jacks will win the pot.
So J.A. beats A.J., even though A.J. was dealing.
Well, J.A. got a little timid at the end, but he has found some momentum. Jason Alexander back up to 80,000 chips. All right, back to the outer tables where Greg Mueller is now tangling with Corey Burbick, who we saw eliminate Mike Matusow. Burbick has moved all in on the river. Mueller needs over 63,000 to call, but he folds top pair.
By the way, Greg Mueller has been getting the same massage, I believe, since the 2006 main event.
I'm not saying.
Why not?
I said nothing.
I mean, obviously you had me beat.
Burbick says, cards speak, I don't.
Don't cry for Mueller. He still has a huge chip stack, 275,000. To Dewey Tomko, he's in a hand with Jay McClain. River card about to come out. It is an ace. Both players check. McClain shows queens. Dewey Tomko, I guess, is beat. Tomko is well known as one of the best high-stakes golfers in the world, and he recently put those skills to the test against my partner in this edition of Heads Up with Norman Chad.
We're going to putt for 9 holes. So, Dewey, how many strokes are you going to give me?
Make it 7. You got it.
Thank you. You are reasonable. 7 shots. Let's do it. Very nice.
Uh-oh.
You once told us you used to play so much poker. For 15 years, you didn't know who the President of the United States was. Who's the President right now?
Obama.
Okay, that's easy. Who's the Vice President? Wow. You're still busy.
All right, I'm giving that one to you. You got a little trouble on this one, buddy.
Is that a mulligan? So, do you prefer busting Doyle on the golf course or on the poker table?
Any place I can bust Doyle, I enjoy it.
So, what is the key to gambling in golf?
You really got to know what you're capable of shooting, and then you got to be able to do it. Good putt. All right.
We're on the last hole. If I win this hole, I can actually win the bet.
Let's see if it happens first.
Let me go kick your butt on this hole.
He missed!
He missed! It's a miracle. I have a chance to win the hole.
Oh, God. That's fate, just like the World Series of Poker. It's just the way of life. You have to deal with it.
My whole life is lipping out, but it was a pleasure to lose to you today, sir.
Same too.
Norman, I am impressed just to have a shot at glory, a mere glimpse of something positive in your life, a peek at the promised land of victory.
Good for you.
Back to table 2, Chris Ferguson taking a back seat over there. Recently, Roland DeWolf keeps battling to stay alive in this main event, facing a re-raise from Steve Gee.
Sorry for taking so long, buddy. I know Chris doesn't have anything better to do, but...
Roland's a very good player, but he's been walking uphill all day.
With pocket 8s, DeWolf facing a raise from Steve Gee holding queens. Now Roland re-raises all in.
I thought you were going to muck or call.
I got the best hand. I hope you fold.
You have the best hand?
But I still hope you fold.
I hope you don't have aces.
I'll show you.
Gee makes the call.
You got 2 8s. I'm sure I had the best. I was sure I had the best hand.
Give me all face cards. All face cards.
Snow.
There's the flop. And there is an 8 for Roland. He's got a set, but a flush draw for Gee.
Roland looks embarrassed by his good fortune.
And Steve is just angry. Turn card is a 7, no help to Gee.
He's got 10s and clubs and queens.
10 club or queen knocks Roland out.
The river card is a 9. Roland wins with a full house. He's coming back.
Roland DeWolf hanging on like K-Fed did to Brittany.
And Steve Gee is one angry poker player. I guess we know who the impish Roland DeWolf won't be needling anytime soon. Back inside the Rio, action continues here on day 2 of the main event. Greg Raymer and Jason Alexander have been putting on quite a show at our featured table all day long. Right now, action is on Albert Manulin, sports writer from Moscow, on the Jack Link's Beef Jerky Pocket Cam, ace queen of clubs.
Manulin says he was one of 10 men introduced to the rules of Texas Hold'em 10 years ago by the president of the Russian Poker Federation, and they were the first Hold'em players in Russia.
Manulin raises to 2,500. Raymer with Jack 8 of spades. His chip stack has taken a bit of a hit lately. He calls for 2,500.
I still don't know the rules of Hold'em, but they let me talk about the game. I love America.
A few minutes to learn, a lifetime to talk about. All right, so heads up, Raymer and Manulin.
Now it's time for the sports writer to get the Raymer stare.
4, 9, 10. Raymer picks up an up and down straight draw. Manulin ace high with a nut flush draw. Manulin comes out with 4,500.
45.
Raymer getting just about the right price to call. I don't like chasing straights, though. I always pull a groin muscle.
4,500 is a call from Greg Raymer.
Both players like to cover their mouths for health purposes.
Turn card now. 7 of diamonds. Raymer hits his straight, Jack high.
Raymer's a better athlete than me, Lon. He has chased down that straight.
It was a short run. Manulin checks. Does Raymer want to slow play it? Or does he figure Manulin's going to come along? Well, he bets 10,000.
And now it's Manulin who's not getting a good price here to chase his flush.
Well, he's going to gamble. He makes the call. River card, 10 of spades. Raymer with the check mark. Manulin missed.
And Manulin now just looks like another sports writer in mid-career crisis.
Yeah, he does check now, again. Raymer with a made straight, but a hidden straight with that Jack 8. He bets 25,000.
About 2/3 of the pot. You know, I just realized Manulin's got ace queen. Ace queen's always a loser. What's he thinking about?
You're right.
Actually, he's thinking about making a play here. Is he going to come over the top? What's he doing?
He is pausing for some reason, and he makes the call.
Call.
Raymer shows the straight.
Wow, Manulin missed his flush and thought ace high might be good. He thought Fossilman was making a move. That's why he's a sports writer.
Fossilman back on the uptick. His chip stack to 105,000 now. All right, let's take a look at some of the chip stacks of players we've been following. Mueller with that monster chip stack. And how about actor Brad Garrett hanging in there today? To the outer tables, Gavin Smith is all in, needing help. He's got the nut flush draw, trailing the pocket jacks of Jonathan Tamayo.
Gavin needs an ace, queen, or heart to stick around here at the main event.
The river card is a jack of diamonds. Tamayo will win with jacks full and eliminate Gavin Smith.
And Gavin's World Series miseries continue.
I gotta go find Bronson.
Todd Brunson is 83% to still be at that bar waiting for him.
All right, let's catch up with Keely Madrid, who's also all in and behind against Carrick Terrell. One card to come, Madrid's pocket queens against the set of 10s for Terrell.
Keely needs a jack or a queen or he's done.
River card is an 8, and Terrell wins it with 10s full. A second round knockout of Keely Madrid.
Yeah, Madrid goes down for the count while standing up.
Terrell from Indiana at his first World Series picks up a nice pot.
I think Elio Lesra was Keely's cut man during a bunch of those hands.
Keely certainly made it lively out there. Let's go back to table 2. Roland DeWolf once again is pushed all in after the flop against Steve Gee again.
Got a flush draw. I know you got a flush draw.
He does not have a flush draw.
That's all you got, right? Flush draw, right?
He does not have a flush draw.
I call. Don't put any hearts out there.
He does not have a flush draw.
Keep them all black.
That's a call. He way behind his pocket 9s against the set of 4s of Roland DeWolf.
I told you he did not have a flush draw.
Gee has a short fuse.
Help.
No hearts is okay by me.
2 more hearts.
You said no hearts.
Turn card. No help to Gee.
Swear to doubled up twice on me.
He can only eliminate DeWolf with a 9.
River card's a queen, and DeWolf will double up again through Steve Gee.
I'm like your main sponsor.
Well, Roland DeWolf keeps doubling up, but still doesn't have a lot of chips.
But 33,000 are enough to turn Roland's focus in this main event from survive to thrive.
The 2009 World Series of Poker is presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side. And in part by WSOP.com. Get official items for your home poker game at WSOP.com. And PokerStars.net, the world's largest poker site.
Back inside the Rio action winding down on this day 2 session of the main event. Let's pick up action on Dewey Tomko. He's all in with ace-jack against Maggie Bowe. And unfortunately for Dewey, Bowe made a set of 9s on the flop, which will end the hand and Dewey's main event.
Well, Dewey can play with the best of them, indoors or outdoors. But as you said, his main event is over. Dewey's got a couple of million in World Series earnings and a lot more than that in golf earnings.
All right, let's check in on Brad Garrett, who's in a hand with Peter Kremenliov. After the turn card, Garrett has checked the turn.
You're going to be an amazing player. You're going to wake up one day, you're going to drop, and you're going to be amazing. We're old. You got to, I mean, look at us. It's like the Thriller thing.
Stand up.
Yeah, I love that. He stood up. Call the doctor. Okay, now what are you going to do?
Did you
I checked. No, you're going to lose your fun. You're going to lose your fun.
Kremenliov bets 10,000.
I can't fold.
Actually, Brad's got enough chips left to fold here.
He makes the call. Brad checks the 4 on the river.
He probably has a 2-5.
Kremenliov bet enough to put Brad all in.
It's going to be a big suck out. Did you? Oh, God, I got to sit down. God bless you for standing. You meant the world to me. I didn't think I'd get you up there. God love you.
Barry Johnston standing there was like a lunar eclipse.
All right. I got it.
Brad calls all in.
Got it.
And Brad will lose. Kremenliov flop queens up to just a pair of queens for Brad Garrett.
Well done and fun.
It's fun.
Give him a hand. Give him a hand.
Brad Garrett is more upbeat when he loses than, say, Phil Hellmuth.
Brad Garrett was a lot of fun while he lasted. Kremenliov is officially the 2009 main event killjoy. So no day 3 for Brad Garrett, but at our feature table, Jason Alexander in good shape to make it to day 3 for the first time. Jason looks down at his hand. King, queen, offsuit.
Jason says he wouldn't be upset if Brad Garrett outlasted him because, quote, I have more talent, I'm better looking, my life has gone better, and I have more money than him.
A raise to 3,000 from Jason Alexander.
Could I really have the last hand of the night? Would it hurt everyone?
I'm just going to give it to you for that reason.
Please.
He's whining.
Jackie, don't give me a hard time. Thank you. Albert, enough with you already. Had enough of you people. I want one hand before I go.
Albert, fold.
Jonathan, I'll slap you around, man.
Folded to Greg in the big blind.
Raymer. Raymer. Oh, Raymer.
Jack 80
Raymer.
calls.
I agree, Jason.
For God's sake,
Why is he
man.
messing around with you with Jack 8 off from the big blind? Tell him you're mad as hell and you're not going to take it anymore.
AJ, do something right, would you?
All right, here's the flop. Heads up. Raymer and Alexander. And that's good for Jason, a queen.
Let's see what Raymer does now after whiffing.
He checks.
Attack, Jason. Attack. Attack.
4,000, Raymer.
You win.
Thank you.
And Jason Alexander does take the last pot of the night.
Stop the beat.
Hail!
That's right, the Poker Brat is back.
Life really isn't too bad.
And tonight, you and Phil Hellmuth's opponents may be subjected to unsportsmanlike antics, infantile remarks.
You are an idiot.
And some very good poker.
Oh, I got the nuts. I got the nuts. I care too much. I passed the test. I can't believe this. I love the game so much.
Yes! Yes!
I have such passion for the game.
To you, it's poker, man. To me, this is my life.
When it spills over a little bit, that's good. When it spills over way too much, I think it's bad. Idiot from Northern Europe.
He may be brash.
I can dodge bullets, baby.
He may be brazen.
If there weren't luck involved, I guess I'd win every one.
But he is certainly one of the best of all time.
There's the rest of the world, and there's me.
And tonight, Phil Hellmuth's Day 2 main event journey unfolds.
Let the games begin.
Welcome to the World Series of Poker presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. I'm Lon McCarran with Norman Chad in an absolutely bursting Rio poker room.
Day 2, baby, let's get him!
Embedded in the crowd are several former main event champions, a slew of big-name pros, and 2009's top performers, including the now 7-time winner Phil Ivey, who's eager to play for the top title in poker. Still, the best will have to compete with the rest.
All the way, baby, all the way.
Players like Frankie Gay, whose motivation is a celebration of his son's memory.
See if I can hold it together, my emotions.
2008 is in the house as well, including Player of the Year Eric Lindgren and defending main event champ Peter Eastgate. Also playing is fellow final table member Dennis Phillips, who will have to compete with Michael the Grinder Mizrachi over at table 2.
You want to stay away from the 1 and 2 seeds.
There you go. Works for me.
But at the featured table is the one man who is sure to make the most noise, 11-time bracelet winner Phil Hellmuth.
I apologize for any bad beats I put on people. I was playing every hand on day 1, Avi. You ever see me play every hand?
Phil talking to Avi Mukherjee.
No, never, right?
Phil and Avi played a lot of cards together in the San Francisco Bay Area. Todd Wittelis is not an old friend of Phil Hellmuth's.
Wittelis is one of the online players who helped uncover the ultimate bet cheating scandal. Phil is a paid representative of the company.
On the Jack Link's Beef Jerky Pocket Cam, Phil Hellmuth with 8-7 of clubs.
This is a new Phil Hellmuth this year. He told me he's going to be more active and not back down to big raises as easily.
Phil raised it to 1,500. Ben Springer's a 22-year-old from Miami with 6-5 offsuit. He's going to repop it to 5,200.
Everyone wants a piece of the poker brat. It should be a carnival concession.
Around to Wittelis. His cards go into the muck from the big blind.
This is the first hand of day 2. Let's see if Phil came to play.
He did. He's calling.
Okay, let's go, kid.
It's going to be your last hand, Phil.
Wow. I think you're just going to double me up for no reason.
Heads up to the flop. Flop is Jack 5-6. Hellmuth with an up and down straight flush draw, but Springer's hit 2 pair.
You wouldn't kid me about a straight flush draw on hand 1 lot, would you?
No, indeed. Hellmuth checks. Springer's hit the 5-6, bets 4,100.
I think it might be my last hand. I think you're right.
It's a coin flip right now.
You got aces?
It certainly feels like aces. Springer's re-raised pre-flop and now bets here.
All right, I'm going to raise it.
Phil's going to raise.
I'm all in.
All in? And a quick call. How can he not?
My goodness. This is a very new Phil Hellmuth, first hand day 2. All his chips into the middle on a big draw, and his main event at risk.
So that's what you get for calling 8 high pre-flop. I don't know what to tell you.
Phil Hellmuth looking a bit sick, knowing his main event could be done within seconds if he doesn't catch a card. Turn card is a club. Hellmuth hits the flush.
No celebration from the poker brat yet. Springer's now looking for his full house. A 5 or a 6 still sends Phil Hellmuth out of here.
Wow. The river card now. Deuce of clubs. Phil will double up.
I told you I'm not going easily.
I will call a re-race with 7-8, so you better not have 5-6, buddy.
Hellmuth sends out a message with that hand and, of course, a little victory speech.
I came to play today. I didn't come to lay down, son. I came to play.
Phil with a little zigzag in his game. Everyone should be on full alert. Never at a loss for words, Phil Hellmuth has stated to anyone who will listen that he is the greatest tournament player on the planet. And Norman, while it may pain people to admit it, just looking at his record, it's hard to argue.
There are two Phils, the poker brat and the poker legend. The brat is Emperor Hellmuthicus, a preposterous cartoon figure, a man who berates lesser mortals at the turn of a bad card. The legend holds World Series records for bracelets, final tables, and cashes. And 20 years after his landmark main event title, who says Hellmuth can't do it again?
Phil made a nice run in last year's main event, finishing in 45th place. There's nothing ever easy about winning this World Championship, Norman, especially with Phil Ivey still in the game.
Well, one of my Phils, Mr. Hellmuth, has never won a non-Hold'em bracelet, and this Phil, my perpetual pick for the main event, has never won a Hold'em bracelet.
And this Phil puts out a bet of $10,000 after the river to Jonas Molander. Molander lays it down, and we've been saying it a lot in this main event. Phil Ivey takes the pot.
Ivey's been my man to win the main event for the last 7 years.
Ivey not the only player who's had a great World Series thus far. Nobody's had a better year than this man, Jeffrey Lissandro. He's won 3 bracelets. He leads in the Player of the Year standings. In fact, only one man out there can catch him, but he might be losing a chunk of his chips at this time. Billy Walbeck looking for help against the pocket kings of Joel Fishbein.
To win the hand, Walbeck needs an ace or an 8.
River card is an ace, and Walbeck has been running that good this year.
See you next year, buddy.
And Fishbein has been eliminated.
It's all over.
To have a chance at Player of the Year, Walbeck will have to at least make the final table.
Meanwhile, the 2008 Player of the Year, Eric Lindgren, is all in, but ahead with pocket queens against the jacks of Craig Ivey. Turn card now is a 7.
Only a jack or a 10 would knock out Lindgren.
River card, is the jack, and that crushes Eric Lindgren, who's been knocked out of the main event. Eric's been running that bad at this World Series.
In the locker room, we call this guy the other Ivey. And the 08 Player of the Year sees an appropriate ending to a somewhat miserable 2009. He let me down again.
Back to the featured table where Phil Hellmuth doubled up on the first hand played courtesy of Ben Springers, who tried to bully Phil but wound up paying off the poker brat. Springers starts the action with ace queen of hearts.
You know, the empirical evidence is really building up against playing ace-queen line.
He raises to 1,300. I think you're right, Norman.
What do I sense a rematch here?
I hope so.
You hope so?
I really hope so.
It always is Phil against the world.
Action on Hector Lopez, 31-year-old teacher from Spain with 10-7 of spades.
In the small blind.
He makes a call for 1,050 more. Hellmuth in the big blind. 8-4 offsuit. He calls.
Boy, it's as if Phil's body and soul are now occupied by some idiot from Northern Europe.
The flop 6-5-7. Hellmuth hit an 8 high straight. Can you believe it?
He keeps playing rags and flopping straights. We saw him do that twice on day 1.
Springers with a nut flush draw. Lopez and Hellmuth check. Springers, who made a World Series final table last year, will bet it out 2,800. Lopez now. He got top pair. And he's going to raise it to 6,700.
Oh, that's the 4% hand that's check raised.
Yeah. Hellmuth now.
Yeah, Phil, you got the straight.
Just with a call. Springers now. It's 3,900. And he will come along.
So Phil smooth calls, and Springers is going to behave here and hope for a heart.
Turn card now. 3 of diamonds. Phil Hellmuth still best with that straight. Lopez drawing dead. He checks.
Phil said, this year I decided let's play poker, and I don't ever recall him mixing it up this much early in the main event.
16,000 is the bet from Phil. Springers gets out of the way.
Boy, I'm surprised Springers folded his draw. I thought he was just itching to river Phil.
All in.
Lopez check raise all in, drawing dead. And a call from Phil. Hector, it's time to book your flight home.
All in, the last words we will hear from Hector Lopez at this main event.
It's called pre-flop, Phil.
Oh, my goodness.
I told you, I'm going to play with you all day, son.
I hope so.
Phil always making fast friends.
And Lopez will make a fast exit from this main event.
Hector could have given his idiots from Northern California speech.
He flopped an unlikely straight, and Phil is over 96,000 now.
You were drawn live?
Ace, queen of hearts.
Wow, that's so sick.
Springers got out just in time.
Maybe I should have shipped it on the flop. Maybe you call.
Phil's game talking almost as loudly as his mouth so far tonight. Almost.
The 2009 World Series of Poker is presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side. And in part by WSOP.com. Sign up for the official WSOP e-newsletter at WSOP.com and FullTiltPoker.net. Learn, chat, and play with the pros.
For a time, they were the most famous men in poker. They were the 2008 November 9. And today, 5 of them are still in the field. Let's go over to table 2 in the Rio Poker Room. Last year's third-place finisher, Dennis Phillips, and 3 others saw a flop of 4-6-6, couple of clubs. After a check and a bet, action is on Michael Mizrachi, who hit trip 6s.
He's got a load of talent, but still no bracelet.
See if you guys look excited. You don't look too happy. You're not even interested, so I'm gonna raise.
Player announces
Cases the joint, gets the lay of the land, and it's gonna put some money in.
28-year-old pro makes it 11,000.
I see Dennis Phillips has Mike Sexton's autograph there on his cap.
I figured you were going to mention that.
Well, I guess he hasn't had a chance to ask you or me for ours.
Phillips with a nut flush draw makes the call. John Kincaid folds. Troy Dodge. With ace-king, he gets out of the way.
Phillips in bad shape here.
Turn card now, Jack of Hearts. Mizrachi still best with his trips. Grinder puts out about half the pot, 16,000.
Well, Dennis Phillips should not chase his flush any further.
Got a very big hand.
So do I. That's a big draw, not a big hand, Dennis.
How big is it from a 1 to a 10? Pretty sure I know what you got.
Okay. Dennis doesn't seem impressed.
Dennis going to take a flyer, makes the call.
That's a loose call.
All right, let's see a river card. It is a 5 of clubs, and Dennis Phillips hits his flush.
Mizrachi tried to talk Phillips into folding before the river, and now Dennis got lucky on him.
All right, check.
Grinder checks. Phillips with a tiny bet, 15,000.
Yep, and that's the sound I make when I'm 15th in line at the bank and there are only 2 tellers.
Flush draw.
Grinder's radar is up and operational.
Grinder gives up his trips.
And he shows the 6 to Dennis.
No show?
Dennis should have folded it. He ended up winning it.
Michael Mizrachi did all the right things, but got unlucky. A nice pot for Phillips. He's up to almost 100,000.
I'll tell you later.
Dennis, you're such a beast.
Not me, never.
Dennis talking with Maria Mayerneck, a pro from Brazil.
Are you like the Grinder's father or something?
I don't know if that's an insult to you or not.
No, it's like a compliment to all of you. You're all beasts.
Call him the son, please.
Dennis hopes to join an elite group who have made back-to-back main event final tables in the last 25 years. Dan Harrington did it most recently, and 3 players, Alto, Johnston, and Smith, went back-to-back together in 85 and 86. 4 others of the November 9 trying to do that. Darus Suharto.
No chance. Too nice a guy.
Kelly Kim.
No chance. He shouldn't be texting.
Elon Schwartz.
No chance. He doesn't comb his hair.
And the defending champ, Peter Eastgate.
No chance. Who's he think he is, Dan Harrington?
Eastgate happily fulfilling his poker ambassador duties right now. Not only did he claim $9 million, he claimed a piece of poker history that used to belong to Phil Hellmuth. As most know, Phil likes to keep a tight grip on the numerous World Series records he holds.
Back in 1989, I was 24 years old, and I was telling the whole world that I was going to win the main event. I had a tremendous amount of confidence.
Hellmuth wins the championship.
Maybe a sense of destiny.
So Phil Hellmuth Jr. at 24 years of age becomes the youngest player ever to win the World Series of Poker.
It was an honor to hold the youngest world champion title for almost 20 years, and then along came Peter Eastgate.
Peter Eastgate, 22 years old, the youngest main event champion ever.
That was the icing on the cake. It always feels good to beat Phil Hellmuth, especially because he cares so much about it, and I care so little about it.
That record stood for 19 years. But that's a record that's okay that I lost, you know, because I can't do anything about it. If someone puts a bracelet up, or puts a bunch of cashes up, or puts a bunch of final tables up, I can do something about it.
Please put your seatbelt on. Turbulence is coming.
Now it seems like I'm in perfect rhythm and harmony.
I'm in a bluffing mood today, baby.
And I'm poised for a long run in the main event.
Now we're playing the game.
Staggering numbers, 11 bracelets, 40 final tables, 73 World Series cashes.
I didn't come to fold, Ivy. Not today. I'm playing poker, baby. For 5 years, I've been folding here. You make day 6, whatever. I mean, you know, I want to win this year.
Yeah, I don't think he wanted to win the last 20 years. He was just here for the buffet.
All right, action continues at this feature table on Todd Wittelis. Wittelis with King 9, and he folds.
Wittelis won a bracelet in 2005.
Phil Hellmuth. Tray 4. He's going to raise with that.
Hellmuth just raised with 4-3 off. I have alerted proper casino personnel.
Springers with 10 tray, and he folds.
No re-raise?
Once in a while. Next hand, I promise.
Well, the Springers has really opened the door for Phil's needling. Over to Firas Matusow, ace 7 of hearts in the big blind. He's going to call.
The weak ace. It is a suited ace.
Matusow is from Brazil, not Northern Europe, so Phil needs a new shtick. Matusow pairs his 7 and checks. Phil reaching for chips, hoping to buy it with 1,800.
Phil Hellmuth has a new playbook, and I believe it was published in Northern Europe.
Let's play a pot, man.
Careful what you wish for, Phil.
I make a C bet, you pop it. Pretty standard.
I raise.
Raise.
Phil apparently gave something away there.
Dang it all. Did you raise it?
Yeah, nice read by the 25-year-old.
I'll lay this one down.
4,400.
Live lessons from the pros. It pays off for Matusow.
Phil smiling and bluffing. Who is this guy?
Good raise, man. Good raise.
Phil's smart enough to know when to retreat.
That's my plan. Bluff, bluff, bluff. They move in, I'm going to show them the nuts.
He likes to advertise his strategy, but will this table pay him off?
The World Series of Poker, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Main event.
Back at the Rio, 648 players will finish in the money. Their winner will get $8.5 million. There is Frankie Gay, who shared many an hour playing poker with his son Pruitt before Pruitt was killed in action in Afghanistan. Frankie and his supporters, including Frankie's fiancée Shay Walker, are here in memory of Pruitt. Frankie facing a bet from Jesse Mudiker that would put him all in.
From his looks, I don't think Frankie wants to risk ending his main event at this moment.
And you are right, Norman. Frankie does lay it down and shows a pair of kings.
Straight flush.
So Mudiker will take that pot from Frankie Gay. He and the entire Playing for Pruitt group trying to hold on to this experience at the main event as long as possible. Well, if Mel and Pat Humphries are on the rail, Norman, it must mean that Phil Ivey is playing nearby, and there he is.
The Humphries have been with Ivey longer than I have.
Phil's going to take in another pot. What's he getting a call? Phil, forget about the big game for the moment.
The Humphries, of course, know Phil from Atlantic City when he used to play stud with them at a very young age.
Ivey began the day with 84,000 chips. Not so flush is Ivey's friend Howard Lederer.
In 2006, Ivey bet Howard $100,000 he would shoot 72 at TPC Las Vegas within 10 years. I like Howard in that bet.
Howard's going to lay this hand down. He is struggling today with just about 15,000 chips.
Gosh, I just talked myself, bro. I swear to God, I think I just talked myself, bro.
Robert Williamson III does tend to talk a lot, apparently enough to have Jamie McCarroll raise Williamson all in.
Robert's been rubbing his temples a lot during this World Series.
He's only got about 7,000 left, so probably committed here.
Best I can hope for is you have 2 queens. I call.
Well, they both have top pair. McCarroll, though, has top kicker.
It was my dinner you're going to ruin. Queen!
Turn card is a 4. No help to Robert.
Robert has to have a queen.
The river card now is a 10, and that will end Robert Williamson III's main event.
Good playing with.
Robert Williamson won a bracelet in 2002, but he has only 1 cash at the World Series in the last 2 years. Lately, it's been too many all-in calls, not enough Tabasco.
In the shadow of the 2009 main event bracelet, it's time for the Jack Link's Beef Jerky wild card hand. We conceal one player's whole cards while you at home and Norman try to figure out what that player is holding. Phil Hellmuth from the button with ace-queen offsuit.
Oh, man, ace-queen can only lead you to the valley of unhappiness.
All right, I predicted you and I, kid. Raise it up.
3 times the big blind, 1,500 on Daniel Vorbeck. He has the wild card hand. 22-year-old student in Denmark. Vorbeck will come along for $12.50.
Ooh, I get to be Phil here. I think this idiot is playing a suited 10-5 just trying to mess with me.
Why you want to get in the way?
Springer's a big blind folded.
Oh, you might have the best hand, I see.
Maybe Vorbeck's lucky and he doesn't speak English.
Flop is 9, tray 5, 2 clubs. Vorbeck checks.
Phil might be thinking that flop probably missed Vorbeck, so let's go with a continuation bet here.
Better make a little bet of 1775, I'll bet.
1775.
He should have bet 1800. That's a mistake.
All right, let's see what Vorbeck does now.
I don't want to shut myself out and bet too much here.
Phil's talking a little too much here. Last time we heard him chirping, he didn't have a hand either.
Vorbeck with a little nod makes the call.
Now I think he's got either that pair of 5s or a club draw.
Turn card is a 10 of diamonds. Phil gets no help. Vorbeck checks again.
With his check, I don't think he's got the 2 pair 10s and 5s. I just think he's trying to get a free card with a flush draw.
Phil checked as well. River card now is a 9 of clubs that pairs the board. 3 clubs on the board, too.
I had him on a club draw. Uh-oh. Smells like a Northern European flush.
Vorbeck comes in with 4,200.
Phil cannot call here. He can only beat a bluff.
Wow, I think you have 2 8s.
8s? You can't even beat 8s.
He thinks he can beat him. Vorbeck turns over.
Ace-9.
Ace-9.
Phil was behind from the flop on. I'm stunned he called. It's as if he's trying to prove he's not tight anymore.
Trip 9s for Vorbeck on the Jack Link's beef jerky wildcard hand.
Freaking 9.
What were you thinking there?
A 9 for him?
What were you thinking there? Ace high?
Springer's chiming in.
Ace high. Of course ace high. If I raise on the button, I'm calling you 2 down with ace high every time. What do you want?
I hope so.
And it's going to be a snap call.
No chips
You hit
left.
your weird kicker, you win. If you don't, you lose.
This isn't exactly the valley of unhappiness. It's just the suburbs.
That was a gift.
You can't help it, though. I make it look like I have nothing you had to call. Right? I do. I hypnotize them.
Phil, we are all under your spell. Back to the Rio and the 40th Annual World Series of Poker. Right now to table 2. The grinder, just a bystander, is Dennis Phillips and Maria Mayernick are jousting. Pocket aces for Phillips, pocket 7s for Mayernick. She just bet 2,100 after the flop.
Phillips had just called pre-flop in the big blind with his aces.
Raise.
Dennis raises to 6,100.
No, it's either all or nothing. I think I'm ahead.
Maria is not ahead, but she knows every single Beatles song by heart, which should count for something.
Doesn't make sense if it's a set.
It's not a flush draw or a set.
That raise should tell her something.
Is it?
Women love asking questions. Men hate answering them.
You won't raise with a set. I mean, you could, but...
Now look at him. He's capable of anything.
He's got the best hand he raised.
Call.
And Maria calls. All right, the turn card now. It's a king of hearts. Dennis adds a flush draw.
Check.
And he checks.
Dennis slows down unexpectedly.
Check.
Maria checks behind.
Maria better hope she sees a 7 of diamonds.
River card. 8 of clubs. Phillips earns the check mark.
You know, there's room on his cap for my name over Mike Sexton's.
5,000 chip bet.
For a so-called amateur, that's a nice value bet to get a call on the river.
Weird spot, pot, everything.
It has befuddled Maria.
I'm gonna make the worst call. I call.
Call.
She calls. Aces are good. Dennis Phillips with a nice hand there.
Remember the Beatles song, Maria, The Long and Winding Road.
Dennis over 100,000 now. Not bad if you're trying to get back to the final table. Another player working to get back to poker's promised land is Avad Khan, a member of the 07 main event final table.
He's transformed his poker persona, but he still plays well.
Avad does speak softly, but carries a big stack. Avad's play over the last 2 years has proved he is not to be taken lightly, and he explains one of his more memorable hands in this Straight from the Pros, brought to you by PokerStars.net. In the 2007 main event, Avad was more animated than we see him now, and in this hand, he had to contain his excitement as the board improved drastically.
I had King 8 and John Calmer limped in. He's been pretty aggressive. So when he limps in, I think he's going to call if I raise, but I only have King 8 and, I really don't want to keep putting more chips. So comes Ace 10 8, he checks, I check.
Turn card now is another 8, and what a card for Havad, trip 8s.
400. Now a super fast call to make it look like I'm on draw. The quick call usually implies weakness.
These two go to the river.
So when he checks to me, I decide to overbet because when he checks, he's either check folding or he's going to call me right away with an ace because he thinks I'm drawing because that's what I was trying to show him.
Calmar with an immediate call.
And he can kiss those chips goodbye.
The key moment, of course, is hitting the 8 on the turn for trips, and the second key moment was the quick call. And then the third key moment would be the overbet in the river. All those three work together. So it's very important how I play the entire hand.
A much quieter Havad Khan letting his big chip stack do the talking for him. Elsewhere, if you can read upside down, you know that bling belongs to the Prince of Poker, Scotty Wynn.
And I don't think there's anything that could quiet Scotty.
In a hand right now with Ray Idomitsu, a deuce on the river. Scotty bets out 9,000.
Got beat out. I can tell everybody got beat by one of the best, if not the best.
Actually, right now, Scotty not talking. His opponent is.
I have to see what you have, Scotty.
Idomitsu calls. Scotty shows queens up, but kings up will win the pot.
Ace queen for Scotty. Flops top pair, top kicker, and loses.
I thought you had triplets.
All right, let's go to Peter Eastgate after the turn. His ace queen, a big underdog to the ace king of Matt Benson, who's all in. River card is a 5. Benson wins and doubles up.
Benson is an immigration attorney. This is a good place to be.
So the reigning world champ giving up some chips to the 05 champ Joe Hachem, who's in a huge hand right now. Joe flop 9's full, but he's crushed by the quad aces of Michael Meredith.
Imagine having a full house and you are drawing dead on the flop.
Meredith checked.
Got a full house.
Joe checks and sees he's lucky to get out alive.
How do I lose the minimum? How do I lose the minimum?
What a hand. Flop quads versus a flop full house.
How do I lose the minimum there?
Well, for one thing, Meredith didn't bet the river, and then Hachem, who flopped 9's full, had a 6th sense and didn't bet himself.
What a hand out there. Back now to our featured table where Phil Hellmuth has had a very profitable day so far. Lines at 250 and 500. Phil with queen deuce of hearts.
15.
He's going to raise it again.
Phil Hellmuth under the gun raises with queen deuce. Please contact missing persons.
37-year-old Todd Wattelis with pocket trays.
He used to be a software engineer.
And that card protector of Head & Shoulders shampoo is because he's known as Dan Druff. He makes the call. Matt Calhoun from Phoenix, ace 10 offsuit, makes the call from the small blind. Big blind folds, so 3 players to the flop. It is deuce, tray, 8. Wattelis hits a set of trays. Hellmuth, a pair of deuces and a flush draw. Calhoun first to act, left with ace high, checks. Phil checks.
3,000.
3,000 is the bet.
And with his set, 3,000. Calhoun folds. Phil calls.
That's a quick call.
We heard Havad Khan say earlier that a quick call usually means you're on a draw. Good tip.
Turn card 7 of hearts. Hellmuth turns a flush. Wattelis with outs, though.
Maybe Phil has relocated to Northern Europe.
Wow. Phil checks.
All in.
All in.
Wattelis makes the move. Shoves his last 10,900 in.
He's understandably all in, but he's not going to understand the hand Phil is going to turn over.
It's going to be awfully tough for me to fold this. Just 1 second. Let me make sure I have it.
He's got to check his cards? He does. He calls.
Phil kind of slow-rolled him on that.
Wow. Wattelis sees he's in big trouble.
Yeah, Wattelis now at risk, and he can't believe what he sees from the greatest tournament hold'em player of all time.
Under the gun, queen deuce of hearts.
Phil's got all his victims muttering in disgust.
Man.
And in response, Phil is simply speechless.
I get lucky against Phil once, right?
Wattelis needs to board the pair or he's gone.
River card is a jack. Hellmuth wins the hand and knocks off Todd Wattelis.
Phil claims another victim with another un-Hellmuth-like hand.
And Wattelis can't believe he was knocked out by Phil Hellmuth.
Pretty civil shake. I gotta tell you, the new Phil Hellmuth is very sexy.
He has nearly quadrupled his chip stack since the day began.
When he bet 3,000, I just thought, wow, I think he might have a set.
So far, it's all good. No complaints from the poker brat.
The the World Series of Poker, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Main event.
Back at the Rio, plenty of action and plenty of stories going around the room.
I heard you flopped a full house against plus.
Drawing bid, yeah. But I lost only 4,000. What? I lost 4,000.
In that hand?
Yeah.
Lon, that might be the first good beat story at the main event.
Well, Jordan Farmar was part of a feel-good story when his LA Lakers won the NBA championship this season. Looks like he's continuing that good fortune here.
And we double-checked our research from the other day, Lon. No one has ever won an NBA title and the main event.
Meanwhile, big-time Laker fan Phil Ivey is behind his pocket sixes and straight draw trail the two queens of John George after the flop. George all in. Turn card gives Ivey a straight.
So George now will need a six or a spade to stay alive.
The river card is a king of hearts, and Ivey comes from behind to win the hand. George eliminated.
The great ones get lucky from time to time. My man Phil would get up to shake John George's hand, but he is paying for the massage.
Ivey over 100,000. Back to table two now. A lot of top players over here. Action's going to begin on Michael Mizrachi. Queen, four of hearts.
Anybody look excited?
Grinder raises to 1,500.
Grinder seems a little bored.
Dennis Phillips also with more than 100,000 chips. Queen 9 suited into the muck. Maria Mayernick, King Queen suited. And moves all in.
Mayernick has a degree in sociology. That's generally worthless, but she used to work in Brazilian film and TV as a writer.
Action on Grinder.
Looks like you have ace jack of clubs.
It's what it looks like.
We're full, but I mean, that's what it looks like.
Michael folds.
Wait, you even picked the suit? I had diamonds.
What?
Close to where you were.
Ace jack of diamonds?
No, it's not ace jack. Ace jack is not premium enough for me to shove on the grinder.
That's a big hand against me.
I know. No, it was better.
Maria has
Way
three
better.
World Series cashes to her credit. She's got a lot of uphill work to do if she wants to cash in the main event with just a little more than 14,000 chips right now. Back to the featured table. Phil Hellmuth has gotten the best of Ben Springers and nearly everyone else seated here during this day two session. Springers and Hellmuth do seem to have a little something going at this table.
Folding away those chips.
Well, you raced away a lot of chips before you hit the 5-6. It looked like you were in a hurry, like you had a plane out of here.
No, I'm staying here till November. Well, I'm booked for the next 4 months.
It's the Phil Hellmuth and Ben Springers show, starring Phil Hellmuth and Ben Springers.
Phil Hellmuth looks down at King Queen of Hearts.
I can't limp.
He does raise to 1,200.
Phil in aggressive mode.
Min raise to Springers with Ace Queen off.
It's Ace Queen again. Lon, I believe Hamlet was holding Ace Queen the day he was poisoned.
Re-raise to 4,500.
Springers has position on Phil all day. It's just like ergonomics, Lon. It's position that counts.
All right. Put those chips in.
Phil makes the call.
Have them ready for me.
You have the 5-6, I have the 7-8. I'm going to check it again.
I love the check in the dark. It can be so perplexing to the other player.
Flop is 7, deuce, ace. Springers hits top pair.
Springers has position and the best hand.
Phil already checked. With the ace, Springers bets 5,500.
All right, this time I'm going to let you steal it from me, okay?
Not a steal, but he's got Phil's chips.
Strong hand.
It's the Phil and Ben show, starring Phil and Ben. They would be great on a morning zoo drive time talk radio show together.
As Ben stacks his winnings, a smattering of applause.
There's going to be a lot of that today, so.
Son, I'm just going to have to bust you before dinner break if you continue with that attitude. It's nothing personal, though. But you want to play with me? Let's play. I'm here.
Welcome back to the Rio. Here's a look at main event champions who own the most bracelets. Hellmuth leads the pack with 11. Scotty Wynn is the most recent world champion to win a bracelet, taking down the $50,000 horse title in 2008. And there is the 98 world champ. He re-raised Brandon Lee pre-flop. Lee called almost 10,000 in the pot, a king on the turn, and Lee checks.
Scotty's been silenced this entire World Series, only one cash.
Scotty bets 3,000. Lee bets enough to put Scotty all in. Scotty calls. Lee with kings up. Scotty aces up.
Good spot for Scotty. Has to avoid a king or a 10.
River card. Oh, it's the king! Lee Rivers a full boat to knock Scotty out.
Boy, a flash sends Scotty out of this main event.
Brandon Lee knocks off a main event champ.
Scotty said if he didn't win $4 million at this World Series, he would retire from poker. He only won 33 grand, but I don't think he's retiring.
You know what's sick is I bet on Scotty over Ivy getting like plus 115 or something like that. By knocking him out, I cost myself a couple $100 against my buddy.
You bet against Phil Ivey, kid? That's like betting against High Tide.
Meanwhile, there is Phil Ivey in a hand right now with David Wickham. $65,000 in the pot after the river. Ivey reaching for chips, bets $45,000 into Wickham.
Well, Phil's massage is over, and he is back to full strength.
No, I don't think you're putting your tournament on a bluff. You could be. I'll let you have it.
Wickham lays down a set of 9s to Phil.
And Phil Ivey looking better and better. He doesn't say a word, but he's making noise.
He has improved his chip stack today. Back to Howard Lederer, who just moved all in for his last 8,600 against California telephone engineer Greg Mayberry after a flop of 4 Jack 8. Mayberry's going to lay it down to Howard.
Howard still looks a little beleaguered. Not many chips.
I had it.
Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. Howard Lederer knows how to bluff his way around a poker hand, but there's no bluffing at the chess table, which he'll try to prove to my partner in this edition of Heads Up with Norman Chad.
Today, Howard Lederer, a.k.a. the poker professor and former chess master, will do battle with me on the board as I pepper him with questions. Can this chess chump checkmate me heads up?
Good luck to you. Good luck. What's your rush? Would you rather be a chess grandmaster or win the main event?
I want to win the main event.
Watch this horse. When I played chess, you were not allowed to do that. You and your father used to play chess a lot, and then you never played again. What happened?
I beat him twice in a row.
And he said, that's it?
He said, that's it.
You're off to a quick start. I don't think you imagine that bishop will take pawn. I have the first piece. That wasn't very fair. I'm in trouble. Would you have hired Joan Rivers or your sister Annie Duke on Celebrity Apprentice?
Well, that wasn't even close. Annie crushed that game, and she should have won.
Oh, look, Wayne Newton.
You're in big trouble. You better think of some good questions quickly.
People. Doesn't Annie sometimes just get on your last nerve?
She's my sister.
Yeah, she should irritate you.
She's been irritating me for 43 years. Ooh, no, you don't want to do that.
That check?
Mate.
Mate as in we're friends? Congratulations.
Well done.
Very well done.
Good math.
Did you play checkers? I don't want to make excuses, Lon, but I had a sore right ankle that day, and it really restricted my Sicilian defense.
You go right into the lion's den. First golf with Dewey, and now chess with Howard. You have moxie, my friend. Phil Ivey jousting with another guy who has a lot of moxie, Ben Springers today. Action on Springers with Ace-Jack.
Big surprise, huh?
Raised to 1,600.
Back to the Phil and Ben show. It's like John and Kate without the kids.
Now 25-year-old Canadian pro Jan Dayan with 8-7 of clubs. And he raises to 4,200.
Well, he shouldn't get in the middle of a neighborhood dispute.
No kidding. Now Hellmuth, 9 deuce of clubs in the big blind.
Phil shouldn't be in the middle of anything with those cards.
Phil's going to re-raise it to 13,000.
Phil getting very frisky with Squadouche.
Wow, I stand corrected. He has cornered the market today on Moxie.
I can't blame Springers if he folds here. That's 2 big raises behind him.
Yeah, he folds his big ace. Now Dayan.
Yeah, that's the sheriff over there, son.
Yeah, he gives it up. Phil takes another pot.
Hellmuth with the bluff. He took advantage of Dayan's raise and represented a monster with the re-raise. He's an alien force today.
Over 100,000.
You're not the one I wanted. I wanted him.
You had me in there if you just call.
I'm going to be picking up a lot of pots with nothing, so you guys are going to need to get change from me all day, I think.
Phil laying down the gauntlet.
But just when they call me, I'm going to show them the nuts.
Phil having fun at the feature table. Let's go out into the field and find Frankie Gay, who just called all in with King 5 offsuit with his fiancée, Shay Walker, looking anxiously on. Melody Banfield holding pocket sevens is a big favorite to knock Frankie out of the main event.
Frankie and his family had put together Pruitt's poker room for his son for when he was supposed to return. Pruitt was a member of the 173rd Airborne 2nd Battalion, U.S. Army 503rd Infantry.
Flop was no help to Frankie. Turn card is an ace. Banfield still best.
Frankie's going to need a 10 or a king.
This may be the last card in what has been a very emotional main event for Frankie Gay. The river card is a 5 of spades, and that will do it. Banfield wins the hand. Frankie Gay knocked out of the main event. A tough moment indeed. Banfield collects the last of Frankie Gay's chips. The hours that he played in honor of his late son Pruitt, though, will remain with him forever.
Son got killed last year in Afghanistan.
Pruitt and 8 others died in battle on July 13th, 2008.
I was here for the troops and my son, and it was a long road, but I enjoyed it.
Frankie Gay's road at the World Series has come to an end, but it's merely another step in the long journey of healing he has been on for the past year. He came here to honor the memory of his son and the others that fell that day, and honor them he did.
The 2009 World Series of Poker is presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side. And in part by WSOP.com. Get official items for your home poker game at WSOP.com. And PokerStars.net, the world's largest poker site.
Welcome back to the Rio and the second day 2 session of the main event. Let's get right to table 2. Dennis Phillips and Maria Mayernick are spectators as the Grinder and 2 others are going to the flop. Michael Mizrachi with 10-9 of clubs, Kelly Slay with King-Jack offsuit, and Larry Bernstein has pocket trays.
Grinder is grinding away today and getting nowhere.
The flop is deuce-8 Jack. Mizrachi does flop a straight flush draw. Slay, though, hit top pair.
Another straight flush draw. I'm in main event heaven.
Bernstein with pocket trays bets 4,000. Slay with a pair of jacks makes a call.
I raise.
Player announces raise.
There is a raise coming on. Alert shipping and receiving.
Mizrachi makes it 11,006.
How much behind?
About 3,000.
That is unusual.
Just trying to figure out why you didn't put it all in.
So I can get you off the turn.
Slay has the best hand with the jacks, but the Grinder would be a favorite with that draw. Slay bets enough to put Michael all in.
I didn't want you to do that, but I got a big flop.
Grinder calls to put himself at risk. Kelly Slay will try to knock him off, and he's getting support from his wife, also named Kelly.
And they're happy. Hey, next time I gotta marry someone named Norman.
Grinder at risk.
Queen of clubs.
That would be a good card. Tray of hearts does not help.
Whereas Rocky is going to need a 7, queen, or any club, or Kelly and Kelly knock him out of here.
The river card is a king of spades. King's up for Slay, and he knocks off Michael Mizrachi.
Tough sledding again for Mizrachi at the World Series.
Kelly Slay says he's read over 50 poker books. Somewhere in there must have been knowledge on how to knock off Michael Mizrachi as he signs off from the World Series for another year without that gold bracelet he so desperately wants. All right, let's get back to our featured table where Phil Hellmuth has been the man of the hour, but not for his tirades, more for his poker, Norman.
Well, if you're paying attention to Phil today, you're paying attention to his new style of play.
And that new style of play has gotten him a lot of new chips on this day, too. Action folded around to Phil Hellmuth. He's chewing on something, maybe beef jerky. This is the Jack Link's Beef Jerky Pocket Cam. He's got 1 queen. He has pocket queens.
I love beef jerky, Lon, but I might suggest smaller bites.
A raise to 1,800 from Phil. Over to his arch rival, Springers. Ben has King-9 offsuit. And a re-raise again from Ben.
Ben and Phil have been bickering dance partners all night.
Let you guys fight it out.
Wise move, Avi. Raise back to Phil now.
Can't keep playing scared poker all day.
They keep trying to get into each other's head. I have never wanted to be inside Phil's head.
Phil with pocket queens.
Raise it up a little bit.
And Phil is going to re-raise to 10,000.
Hellmuth originally raised, Springer's re-raised from the button, and now Hellmuth re-pops it. It's like a game of chicken, except Springer's has no chicken wings.
I take it back. He does still have moxie. A re-raise back to 26,000 now.
Wowie.
Boy, Springer's picking a fight and praying that Hellmuth has no fight in him at this stage. Springer's has 4 betted here. Phil's got to wonder if he has aces or kings. The old Phil would lay this down. Let's see what the new Phil does.
I'm going to raise it. I'm all in.
Another raise all in. This will put Springer's all in, and Springer's gives up.
Game of chicken over.
Ben doubled Phil up early and now gives more chips away.
I mean, I don't need the nuts, kid.
What's the other?
Well, obviously I have queens. I'm not shipping with ace queen.
Phil shows the queens.
That's a difficult decision for all my chips, but I went with my read.
That's right.
I thought you had ace jack or 2 jacks or something. I don't know.
Well, worse than that.
But I told you, look, I don't care if I'm eliminated today. I really don't. I'm going to trust my instincts. They want to play with me, I will play with them.
And Phil's playing some intriguing poker today. Yeah. They are among the most feared players in the world.
You guys want to play some poker with me? Let's go, baby.
They have won a combined 18 World Series of Poker bracelets.
I'm hoping to get to 30 eventually.
The only other thing they have in common,
Buddy, you're an idiot,
is their name.
I just can't believe this.
Phil Hellmuth's brashness and showmanship at the World Series is unmatched.
Many times came back and had all the chips.
Phil Ivey quietly goes about his business while letting his play do all the talking.
I think I have a very good chance of winning this tournament.
Hellmuth.
Oh, this idiot.
Ivey.
We just look at things differently.
2 of the game's greats continue their quest for main event history tonight. Welcome back to the 40th Annual World Series of Poker presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky with Norman Chad. I'm Lon McCarran. Here at the Rio, the second Day 2 session of the main event continues. A massive field still remains, including some of the best players in the game like Tom Dwan, Jen Harmon, and J.C. Tran. Big names outside of poker like NBA star Jordan Farmar.
Camera's here now, you know, it's time to play.
Anthrax guitarist Scott Ian and actor Lou Diamond Phillips are also in the field. And at our featured table, a very well-known player who is a serenader of a different sort.
Phil Hellmuth has been in full throw tonight and usually mixing it up with a poker pro half his age, his latest foil, 22-year-old Ben Springers.
Wow, they're down to like 2,400 right now.
Yeah, 2,400 left.
I've won tournaments with 2,400 people in them before.
600 players made it through the first Day 2 session. We've got about 1,800 left in this field. Action will start on 22-year-old Ben Springers on the Jack Link's Beef Jerky Pocket Cam Jack 10 offsuit.
I think Springers came here today with one thing in mind: kill Phil.
He limps in for 600. Matt Calhoun, a high-tech guy from Phoenix, ace-queen offsuit.
He attended Babson College in Wellesley, Mass. I believe they are the Ragin' Cajuns.
He limps as well. 22-year-old, a recent grad from the University of Iowa, Ian Schechter with 9-4 of spades limps.
He's a kid with a dream.
Phil Hellmuth in the small blind. 1989 world champ looks down at 8 deuce offsuit.
Well, that's in the neighborhood of the cards he's been playing here on Day 2.
He calls, and 22-year-old, another 22-year-old from Copenhagen, Daniel Vorbeck in the big blind 7 tray. And he checks his option.
Why does it always seem that Phil's in the middle of the table lording over the peasants and feudal workers?
5 players in for the minimum. The flop is deuce 8 king. Hellmuth hits 2 pair. Nobody else caught anything. Hellmuth checks. Vorbeck checks. Springers now. He's going to get restless with his Jack 10. He bets 2,300.
It's as if Phil expected his buddy Ben to fire out with nothing.
Calhoun and Schechter fold. Phil Hellmuth makes the call. Of course he's got to come along.
Well, it's the Phil and Ben show. An old-fashioned buddy comedy featuring 2 generations of prickly players.
Vorbeck folds, so heads up. Phil and Ben.
Heads up.
Turn card now. Is another king, king of clubs, and that gives Springers some outs.
Hellmuth doesn't like that card. His small 2 pair are now counterfeited.
Hellmuth checks.
Springers was 481st at last year's main event.
He checks behind Phil.
Well, Ben decides his squat douche really is nothing.
River card 5 of clubs. Hellmuth first to act. And he's reaching, and Springer's folds immediately.
Fire. That was the worst card in the deck for me, the king ball.
Springer's playing speed poker there.
Could have bluffed me that time, kid.
Ah, a missed opportunity for Ben.
I said yes. Let him bluff it off. But no king. Bam.
Never one to shy away from telling his opponents where they went wrong, and that's one reason the target on his back is so big. Norman, we are nearly through with the day twos, but the main event has barely begun, and yet, even at this early stage with the players remaining in the field, it's hard not to think about some of the tantalizing possibilities.
Well, let me tantalize you, my friend. What if Phil Ivey won? He'll be on the short list for greatest ever, and I'll actually look smart for once. What if Dennis Phillips makes the final table in back-to-back years? That would outdan Dan Harrington. And what if Phil Hellmuth is around in the end? He started this main event in a loincloth. If he makes the November 9, he might show up in lingerie.
Luckily for us, for the moment, Phil is back to wearing his familiar black attire. 20 years ago, he became the youngest ever to win the main event. In the field today is the man who took that title. Defending champ Peter Eastgate was 22 when he won last year. Right now, he's all in with ace-9 off behind Manuel Kuriger's pocket queens.
1 year after winning it all, Eastgate looks like he might not survive day two.
He does pick up an up and down straight draw on the flop.
Kuriger's still a 3-2 favorite. Eastgate still at risk.
Turn card now is a 6, and Eastgate hit the straight.
That's why I'm the champ.
River card is a 10 of hearts, and Eastgate will win it and double up.
Kuriger's thinking, did you say you're the champ or the luckiest player on the table?
39,000 chips for Peter Eastgate. There is 95 champ Dan Harrington wearing a brace today. He told us it helps ease the strain on his neck over the long hours at the tables.
I've never needed a brace. I always get knocked out quick.
He will not pick up any chips there as he lays it down.
I wish I had it.
In 2003, when Harrington made the first of 2 straight main event final tables, Phil Ivey just missed, finishing in 10th place after getting rivered by Chris Moneymaker, and Phil is in action today. Phil just re-raised Jonas Molander, a Swedish pro, pre-flop.
I'm all in.
Molander moves all in on Ivey.
Molander had originally raised, Ivey re-raised, and now Molander re-raises all in.
110 maybe.
These guys have just about even chip stacks.
Ivey this year says he's more patient as a tournament player, not as prone to risk his chips as often as he once did.
Phil has him covered, but just by a few thousand chips.
A call.
Ivey makes the call.
All in and a call. 304.
Ivey shows kings and ace-king for Molander.
Ivey in good shape, but he's an ace away from being crippled.
All right, the flop is tray 5-9. The kings are still good for Phil.
Remember, Molander all in, Ivey almost all in, trying to dodge an ace.
Turn card is a 6, no help to Molander.
Molander awaits his fate. Ivey awaits the knockout. Molander needs an ace.
River card is a jack, and Molander will give all his chips to Phil Ivey, in effect doubling up the 7-time bracelet winner.
We battled a lot, so gosh. Good luck. I want to hold. Great hand, Phil.
That is a long conversation for Phil Ivey, and it might have been in Swedish.
That's a scary sight.
A scary sight indeed. The best player in the world with one of the biggest chip stacks in the room.
The 2009 World Series of Poker is presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side. And in part by WSOP.com. Sign up for the official WSOP e-newsletter at WSOP.com and FullTiltPoker.net. Learn, chat, and play with the pros.
Welcome back to the Rio and the 40th Annual World Series of Poker. At Table 2 is a member of the first November 9, Dennis Phillips. And once again, he's brought a few of his supporters, and that truck horn has made the trip as well.
You know, I usually wear black, so I wouldn't fit in with the Dennis clones.
While Brazilian pro Maria Marinick is watching, Dennis Phillips leads with ace-king against Paul Smith, who just picked up a club flush draw.
3,000.
3,000 is the bet from Phillips.
Phillips tries to buy it.
Smith goes over the top, all in.
Smith has picked a good spot to push on a draw.
Did I misplay this hand that badly?
Phillips just has ace high.
Dennis needs over 13,000 to call.
I don't think he got anything.
And he does.
Nice call.
Dennis likes what he sees.
A Cardinals-Cubs matchup. The Cubs never win.
No club.
River card. No club. Phillips wins, and once again for the Cubs, it's wait till next year.
Ball, my friend. You're a sick puppy.
I am sick.
Leave
I'm
me
telling
alone,
you that.
though.
I absolutely admit I am a sick puppy. That's just bad.
I wonder if he takes that horn into the restroom.
It has been a good day for the Philippians and their leader, Dennis Phillips. Dennis has almost doubled up here on day 2 so far. He's up to 120,000. Let's take a look at the leaders in this field. Phil Ivey, the 4th biggest stack in the room. Watch out, world. But everyone today chasing Troy Weber with over 400,000 chips. He in the 3rd biggest stack. Dan Bilzerian are jousting right now at the same table. Bilzerian put out a bet on the river.
Weber, an account manager. Bilzerian, a venture capitalist.
Weber made the call, and on the showdown, Weber will take that pot. The chip leader gets stronger.
Weber's nickname is Mr. Miserable. He beat me to it.
Elsewhere, Kent Center is finding the main event to be a diversion from living with an incurable cancer. With his wife Patty looking on, he's fulfilling a dream to play at the World Series. At the table, pro Billy Gaze has just moved all in on Kent. Kent makes the call to put Gazes at risk. Kent turns over ace king of hearts. Billy Gaze is all in with pocket kings.
Gazes has to feel a little shaky in this spot.
Gaze is still ahead after the queen on the turn.
Center can still knock out Gazes with an ace or a heart.
The river card is a 4 of spades, and Gazes will double up through Kent Center.
Good hand, boy.
The likable Billy Gazes, 30 World Series cashes, no bracelet.
Well, losing a hand doesn't come close to comparing with what Center has had to deal with, but being here in Las Vegas with his wife's support is a true testament to how much they mean to each other.
I worked with Lowe's, unloading the trucks and getting all the product out in the shelves. It's a tough job. I could barely stand. There was a lot of nights that, I couldn't walk. And when I went to the doctor, he sent me for an MRI, and that's when they discovered I got cancer. I had tumors in my spine and all over my body, so yeah, it's been kind of tough. But, having children and my wife, I can't quit.
He's done everything in a positive manner. I am so proud of him. I always call him my treasure, and that's what he's been since the first day I met him. He has made our life the best that it could ever be. There's always 3 things that he always wanted to do. One was be an astronaut, one was to drive an Indy car, and one was to play in the World Series poker tournament.
When you're raising kids, $10,000 is, it's a lot of money. She just got on the internet and started emailing everybody.
People responded faster than I ever thought they would.
I was asleep on the sofa, and she woke me up and told me that I was going to go to Las Vegas. I consider myself lucky. I have nothing to lose. It's just been a dream, and hope it continues on.
Kent came through day 1 with 55,000 chips and says being here has been the time of his life, meeting celebrities and poker pros and playing in the main event. Back to the featured table where Phil Hellmuth has been running the show, playing and winning with any 2 cards.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by the toe.
There's the tiger.
If he hollers, let him go.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Action is on Ben Springer's Jack 10 offsuit.
I am still undecided on where I stand on Ben Springer's.
A raise to 1,600. Vincent Mack owns a bar down in Florida, lives in Palm Bay. With pocket 9s, he makes the call.
If he owns a bar, it'd be nice if he'd buy me a drink.
Matt Calhoun on the button with King 10 of clubs.
He's a chief technology officer. I have no idea what they do.
He makes the call.
Do they boss around technology?
He and Schechter in the small blind lays it down. Hellmuth in the big blind. Queen 9 off.
In the big blind, getting 6-1 on a call here. Yeah, the new Phil Hellmuth says let's play.
Percentages favor Calhoun pre-flop, though Mack has the best hand with the 9s. The flop 6, 5, 10. That hits 2 players. Calhoun a pair of 10s with a king kicker. Springer's a pair of 10s, but only a jack kicker. Phil first to act. Got no help. He checks. Springer's
plays high-stakes online poker. He's pretty active. You just never know if he has a hand or not.
He bets the second best hand with 4,200.
Max should fold those 9s and buy me a beer.
He likes them well enough to make the call, though.
I'm thirsty.
Now Calhoun with the best hand. Just with a call.
I'm sure Calhoun thought about raising.
And Phil lays it down.
And he'll just concentrate on Peebo Bryson.
They all love to see Phil out of the hand after the day that he has had. It's a jack on the turn. That hits Springers. He leads with jacks up. And now he's betting with the best hand. He makes it 8,500.
Actually, I wouldn't mind a daiquiri or a stinger. I haven't had a stinger forever.
He's got time to make one. He's going to fold. Calhoun now.
And Calhoun wondering if that board really hits Springers at all.
I'm all in.
Uh-oh.
Raising all in.
Call.
And a quick call from Springers. He may play Calhoun's executioner.
Yeah, 2 pair for Springers, and Calhoun now all but out of here.
Boy, Calhoun in a world of hurt.
King, please.
Penn says, not going to happen, buddy.
One time.
Calhoun has to have a king.
He got it!
Yeah! Nice.
Wow. Calhoun hits a miracle card to stay alive.
And Ben Springers taking that bad beat better than his sparring partner, Phil Ivey, would have.
And with that win, Matt Calhoun is the proud owner of almost 69,000 chips.
I had a feeling it might be there. I had a feeling I made a straight.
I wasn't feeling good either.
I had a feeling I was going to bust him before the flop.
You got your chance now.
Hellmuth won't show any pity for his short-stacked rival. Springers can only hope to get back some chips and take another shot at the poker brat.
The World Series of Poker, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Main event.
Welcome back to the Rio. We're over at the feature table. Phil Hellmuth may be looking at the last hand of the tournament for Ben Springers. Ben's all in with ace-king. Mark Herberholz ahead with pocket queens after the flop.
I do not want to see the Phil and Ben show canceled. They have a nice chemistry.
Well, Ben's not looking too confident in this. Turn card now is another queen. Springers on the edge.
Herberholz in command now. Springers needs to make a straight, a jack, or he is gone.
And now the river card is an 8, and Ben Springers knocked out of the main event by Mark Herberholz.
Nice thought. Good luck, guys.
Springers seemed snake bit, kept coming up second best.
He played well, man. He got all his money in with top 2, and
yeah, maybe Phil made a new friend.
He seems almost sorry to see Springers hit the rail. Out in the field, another 22-year-old is saying his goodbyes. Tom Dwan has just been eliminated.
It's another guy Hellmuth has tangled with elsewhere.
Dwan has been called the next Phil Ivey, and at another table, the current Phil Ivey. Phil Ivey is looking to add to his formidable chip stack. Ivey led out on the turn with 18,000, and his opponent folds, and the train keeps her rolling.
I offered to massage Phil Ivey, to help him, but he called security.
With 2 bracelets already won, Phil is having a terrific 2009 World Series. There's Billy Walbeck also having a great World Series. He's all in with a set of 4s, trying to double up against the pair of aces of Jonas Gutek. 1 card to come. The river card is a king, and Walbeck doubles up to 108,000.
This year, Walbeck are first, second, third, and 6th place finish.
But no one's had a better World Series than Jeffrey Lisandro. 3 bracelets so far. Fellow Australian and 05 World Champ Joe Hachem is at another table in a hand with Larry Kolk after the flop. Joe bet 6,000.
Hashem's had a bad World Series. No cashes in 09.
Action on Kolk. He raises enough to put Joe all in, and Joe calls. A flush draw for Kolk, pocket queens for Hachem.
Hachem is in sort of good shape. Like Bill Gaze's earlier, he's got to dodge a flush draw to survive his all-in.
Turn card's a 4. Kolk adds a straight draw.
Kolk needs an ace, a 6, or a spade to knock Hachem out.
Hachem hates to watch the river card, but it's a 10. He'll win the hand and double up.
Never easy, Joe.
It's never easy, man.
Nice turn, huh? Joe, hang with your pain.
Always nice to see Joe Hachem smiling.
I can't look. I'm too much of a chicken.
Joe Hachem still with us, and now with 60,000 chips. Let's go back to our featured table where Phil Hellmuth has been picking off his rivals and welcomes the next challenger to his realm. Action on Phil. Looks down at Jack 10 of hearts.
Raise it.
Hellmuth under the gun, firing away.
3 times the big blind to 1,800. To his left, Daniel Vorbeck with pocket queens.
Vorbeck, a student from Copenhagen.
And he's going to re-raise to 6,600.
Hellmuth perhaps with some Northern European flashbacks.
So a raise and a re-raise is sure to get some folks out of the hand. Calhoun gives it up, as does Schechter. So the raise back to Phil now.
Phil can't see the percentages. He's behind.
Phil doesn't need to see percentages. He makes the call.
It just feels like role reversal for the poker brat today. He keeps calling the types of spots in which he usually harangues other players about.
The flop now. 8, ace, ace. Vorbeck, a huge advantage.
Yeah, look at the percentages.
Phil checks.
Phil checks.
Vorbeck, you want to play it safe?
Yep. Checks. Turn card, please.
Turn card down. Is a 6. His queens are best, so Vorbeck gets the check mark. Hellmuth first to act.
How many chips you have there?
Ask him how many chips he has.
16.
Maybe Phil is going to dazzle us.
He's devising a master plan right now.
19,000.
He's going to represent the ace with 19,000.
The avant-garde play there. He bets more than the pot on a total bluff.
Just in case you have the red queens. I don't want the diamond to come.
Phil puts him on the right hand. You know, Phil now representing the ace, as you mentioned, which he would have checked on the flop if he had it.
Vorbeck's not buying Phil's act and calls.
The Northern European, a 22-year-old to boot, understands Phil a little better than he'd like.
That's scary. River card is a 6. Does Hellmuth want to fire a second barrel?
Well, he can't win it unless he bets at it.
Check it.
He checks. Vorbeck, just in case, checks.
Phil shuts down Operation Swaggelfoos without further damage.
Vorbeck siphons off over 25,000 from Phil.
I told him he was going to overplay queens against me and I was going to bust him. But not yet.
Well, that didn't take long. Phil uncovers a brand new foil. Watch out, Daniel Vorbeck. The poker brat is coming after you, and he knows where you live. Welcome back to the Rio. Let's get right to table 2. Last year's third-place finisher Dennis Phillips is still in the fight for a return trip to the final table. Phillips looks down at 9-8 of spades.
I call.
He's going to call for 1,000. Next in line is Chip Profili, a carpenter from Coatesville, Pennsylvania, with pocket jacks, and he's going to raise it up to 4,100. Maria Mayernick with pocket aces, and she's going to shove.
Wow. An easy all-in for Maria, looking to take it down now or go heads up against an inferior hand.
Back to Dennis now.
Dennis only has 1,000 invested.
I can't call.
And he does lay it down. So now Profili with one of the toughest decisions in the game. He's got pocket jacks.
The Lon McCarron Memorial hand.
Not that much.
It's not.
Maria starts working the sales floor here.
Profili does have her covered.
You mentioned he's a carpenter right now. Carpentry seems a lot easier than poker.
Anything's easier than playing pocket jacks. But he can't lay him down.
Call.
I wishes he had.
Okay, baby. Good luck.
Thank you. I'm not gonna say the same. I'm not gonna say the same because it will be insincere, even though it's been really nice playing with you.
That's an honest statement.
Come on, baby.
All right, the flop. 9-5-7. Maria's still good with the aces.
Yeah, pretty safe flop for pocket aces.
Come on, give me a dime. Give me a diamond. I'll take a diamond.
6 puts a straight
Now
draw
need a
on the
jack.
board.
Come on, baby.
Phillips would have hit a straight if he'd stuck around.
You can do it.
Profili can only knock out Mayernick with a river jack.
The river card is a tray, and Maria doubles up through the jacks.
But you're not out, so don't shake my hand. You still have a lot of chips.
At 9-8 of spades, I flopped top pair and open in. I wasn't going anywhere.
You would have made a straight?
Yeah. You played it very well.
Thank you, Dennis.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. No, I allowed you to give it to me. I'll take it.
You did. You played it exactly the way you should have.
Maria, the
You got
former
me to
film
hang
and
out.
television writer in Brazil, happy to get praise from Phillips. Let's go to the field. We find another player who knows a thing or two about the entertainment industry, actor Lou Diamond Phillips. He's in a hand with John Minetti, who makes a 10,000 chip bet on the river. Phillips calls and turns over a set of 7s to win the pot.
Lou Diamond Phillips was one of the first celebrities I ever linked to poker, him and James Woods. Where is James Woods?
Sing for the cameras. One more time, come on, they're recording you now. You gotta sing.
That's just it. I'm not gonna sing for them when they're recording. Are you kidding me? You gotta pay for that kind of stuff.
Sing La Vida Loca.
What, you know?
From one Hollywood star to a hoop star in Hollywood, Jordan Farmar has just won a hand.
That was a good one, man. You had me scared.
You know what scares me? Watching Jordan Farmar play defense.
That's Jordan's brother Matthew. The Laker guard just recently learned how to play Texas Hold'em, but so far he's finding his hoop skills go a long way at the poker table.
I'm a member of the Los Angeles Lakers right now, world champions, just in case you weren't paying attention this season. I started playing poker the day before I flew out here. I didn't know what a small blind, big blind, all that stuff was. I knew poker hands and which hand would beat the next one, but I went to the casino and they had all these different games on the board. I was like, what are they playing in the World Series? I learned, sat there for an hour, got the hang of it, flew out here and got it cracking.
The river, you got me on the river.
I'm a point guard by nature. Just like the whole art of it, knowing the situation, know people's tendencies in their game. You know, if I know I'm playing against Chris Paul or Steve Nash, I'm gonna have to play against pick and rolls, and that's what they do. Here, some guys just don't bluff. So you know that if they're gonna put some money out there that they have something good, you have to have something that can compete with them.
Here we go again.
I play to win, and it definitely translates over here. I think that's what helped me get to the level I'm at in terms of my basketball career, and that's what's helping me stay here.
Farmar is following in the footsteps of Lakers owner Jerry Buss, who has cashed twice at the World Series.
All right, let's head back to the featured table. Phil Hellmuth has over 124,000 chips right now, about 100,000 more than he started the day with. Action will start on Matt Calhoun, 2 World Series cashes on his resume, pocket sixes.
Calhoun's played in the last couple Ante Up for Africa tournaments. He finished 5th last year.
Got knocked out of the very first hand this year. He raised it to 2,500. Schechter with ace-queen of hearts.
Our first ace-queen sighting in a while. Get rid of it, son.
Sorry he makes the call. He'll be sorry he made the call.
Exactly.
Hellmuth with kings. Phil's going to go to work.
How much you have there anyway? I'm just curious.
Right around 70.
The World Series should hire someone to write down updated chip totals and hand them to Phil after every pot. Well, Phil has taken out both earpieces. That usually means a big hand.
And he does re-raise it to 10,000.
Phil re-raises.
That will get Vorbeck out of the hand. It's folded back to Calhoun.
He's only got one earpiece out. That's usually a small pocket pair.
For some reason, I just want to win this pot right here.
Phil is talking a whole lot during hands.
I'm sick.
You are, actually.
Calhoun needs 7,500 to call. And with the pocket sixes, he does. Action on Schechter.
Not put you on jacks.
We're still 3-handed. Phil should not be talking about somebody else's hand.
Oh, yeah, right. Sorry, I can't say. Not put me on jacks. I can say that, right?
Schechter with ace-queen suited. Needs 7,500. He lays it down.
Yeah, let's not. I haven't had a penalty this whole trip. I don't want to have one now.
Wouldn't it be ironic if a friendly Phil gets a penalty for non-abusive talk?
He's being awfully amicable. The flop, queen, 8, king. Hellmuth hits the set of kings.
It's not very good for my jacks.
Calhoun checks.
Maybe the new Phil doesn't rant anymore. He just plays with his chips.
A set of kings.
You might have a diamond. I better bet some.
A small bet screaming for a call. 7,000.
7,000.
Phil goes into his cocoon.
Calhoun lays it down.
Don't do that.
Matt folds.
That's what we call top set.
That's what we call showing your cards too often, buddy. Phil's showing a lot of hands.
Wow. Phil Hellmuth winning a lot of hands. And this table, Calhoun included, can't believe Hellmuth is running so good.
I wish I went to bet it now. He could not have been drawing live, right?
It has been a red letter day for Phil, winning even when misplaying his hand. Can he be stopped?
The World Series of Poker, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Main event.
Welcome back to the Rio as this last day 2 session of the main event continues. Let's get back to the feature table where Phil Hellmuth can do no wrong today.
You know, Phil's got a black belt poker course online. It's like $150. I didn't want to pay for it, but it includes a live teleseminar with Sensei Phil.
On the Jack Link's Beef Jerky pocket cam, Matt Calhoun with Queen Jack offsuit. Calls for 1,000. Schechter folds. Phil Hellmuth now looks down at pocket queens.
Phil claimed Vorbeck would overplay queens. Let's see if Phil does.
5,500 is the raise from Phil. Is that overplaying queens?
I never questioned Phil's authority.
Vorbeck now in the small blind with ace-king offsuit. And he's going to repop it to 17,500.
That's a serious re-raise. It often means aces or kings.
Big blind folded. Calhoun also gets out of the way. Now back to Phil. He needs 12,000.
You and me again, huh?
Northern California versus Northern Europe. Traffic's bad in Northern California.
It is bad. Phil makes the call. Chance to collect another chunk of chips. Going with his main man, Vorbeck now. The flop is 4 Jack 7. Phil's queens now a 3-1 favorite. That missed Vorbeck.
Phil's got to like that flop. No threat to his queens.
A check from Vorbeck. Check.
Phil kind of feigning weakness.
Turn card is a 4. Vorbeck gets no help there.
Phil's got to like that turn too.
Vorbeck thinking about it though. He checks.
11,000. I think you have 10s.
Phil bets it.
Poker Brat is chatty Cathy today.
Vorbeck lays it down.
Oh, you got away this time, didn't you? Don't worry. I'm not messing around.
Ready to flip.
Phil shows another hand.
And takes another pot.
You want to call 2 parallel in?
I might call all in. Why not? I don't care.
I know.
I got to go with my read. I mean, if you bust me, you bust me. I mean, I really don't care. If my read says call, I'm calling. I'm not going to try to ante away. You know what I'm saying?
Why did I take English lessons?
Phil dominating this featured table right now as he dominated in his 1989 victory in a field of 178 players. Taking a look at the growth of the main event field. Small leaps in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, but a huge jump after Moneymaker won. And one of the best players in the game is still in action, Jeffrey Lissandra, with over 150,000 chips right now.
Seems like Lissandra has had a lot of chips in front of him for a month running.
Indeed, Lissandra looking for his 4th World Series bracelet of this year. And it's been a picture-perfect day for Phil Ivey. Remember, no flash photography, please. Phil picking up a lot of chips on this day, too. Right now, trying to get some from Peter Jetton.
Just put the fake swallow on me. Let's do that.
My man Phil Ivey does not usually fall for the fake swallow.
Jetton bet 10,000 on the river into Phil. Peter, known as Apathy to the online world, is a poker coach. Phil makes the call, and Peter shows aces up for the win.
Ivey fell for the fake swallow. Bad news for both of us. I got to go talk to him.
Peter will no doubt use that as a training aid in the future. Phil can't win them all, but still over 200,000 chips. Let's pick up action on Kent Center in a hand right now with one of the November 9 from last year, Elon Schwartz, on a flop of 5-4 Jack. Elon pushes all in.
You're 2 pair. You're sitting on 2 pair.
It's been his dream to play here, and Kent Center has had a lot of tough decisions and tough hands.
His wife Patty looking on, can hardly stand the pressure. And Kent will lay it down. Elon takes the pot.
Schwartz 4th last year in the main event and finished 3rd in an earlier World Series event this year.
And Kent learned a lesson there that a lot of players learned last year. It's hard going up against Elon Schwartz. Don't kick yourself, Kent. At table 2, another member of the November 9, Dennis Phillips, has been making it difficult for his table mates as well. He's a huge favorite right now with his pocket aces to Maria Marinick's King Jack. Both check the flop. Turn card now is a king of spades. Dennis with a nut flush draw. Maria a pair of kings.
And Dennis with a pair of aces and the nut flush draw. Pretty sweet.
Maria checks. Dennis bets 5,000.
Call.
Maria will make the call with the kings.
Be careful with my money.
I will, don't worry. I'm always careful.
Maria looking for help.
Dennis a huge favorite as we go to the river.
The river card now is the Jack of spades. Wow, Phillips hits the nut flush while Maria catches kings up. Maria checks. 4 spades on the board. Phillips with the flush, bets 5,000.
Did you bet that river without a big spade? Oh my God, my brain hurts.
Phillips once again looking to extract value on the river.
Take your time.
Take your time calmly like that? Yeah. What the hell is going on?
Oh, sorry. You know how excited I usually get.
I'm sorry, 1 second.
1 second is up.
Why just 5? Is it a thin value bet? Are you betting a spade? What are you doing?
Trying to confuse you. Is it working?
It is. I don't see how I can fold, but...
That's why he bet 5,000.
Maria calls.
Actually, I thought you might come over the top.
Ah.
Shut up!
Dennis was looking to get more.
I had 2 pair.
Okay.
I was done by the river.
Ouch. I thought I was good the whole way. I honestly
You weren't.
thought I was good the whole way. Okay. I believe you.
Don't believe her.
Go Dennis. Always with those aces. Yeah, bye-bye your chips.
Gotcha.
That truck horn seems a little weak, but Dennis Phillips is running on all cylinders. Back at the Rio, everyone's still left. Remaining hopeful, they'll be playing on day 3, including NBA player Jordan Farmar. He's in a hand with Adilson Coachram. 2 aces, 2 sevens, and a deuce on the board. Farmar bets 20,000.
Oh, man.
Coachram re-raises all in.
All in for real. Yeah. I call. Okay. All in and call.
Coachram shows an ace for a full house. Farmar also has an ace. He had the better kicker until the river ace forced the split pot.
Got an ace.
Well, see, Farmar didn't play good defense there. He actually gave up half the pot on the river.
I can't suck.
Farmar may know how the game is played, but the guy playing poker above the rim is Laker fan Phil Ivey in a hand right now with Mark Terry. Phil bets 18,000 on the river.
You might be bluffing with the best hand.
Well, if Ivey is bluffing with the best hand, Terry should fold, no?
Yeah. Mark Terry, is he reaching for chips? Yeah, he makes the call. Ivey shows pocket 4s for a full house.
My man, Phil Ivey. Good offense, good defense, no trash talk.
Well, Ivey's instincts are working well today. The same can usually be said for Jen Harmon at another table. Her poker success comes in large part from being able to read opponents at crucial moments, as we see in this edition of Deal Me In, brought to you by FullTiltPoker.net. In the 2005 World Series Rio Circuit event, Harmon had to piece together a tale she got from a familiar foe, Jean-Robert Ballon.
Jean-Robert plays aggressive, and he will bet with nothing. So when he bet on the flop, I called him to see what he was going to do on the turn.
Jennifer's not going anywhere. She'll call.
And when he bet on the turn, there was something, the way he bet, clicked in my brain that I had him beat. Jean-Robert bets pretty fast, and there was like a small pause on the turn that he did that just didn't ring true for Jean-Robert style. I made the decision, if I was calling him on the turn, I was calling him on the river.
Jennifer Harmon wins the hand, wins the pot.
That's why it's so important to stay focused in a poker game, because there's so many subtleties that you'll miss if you don't.
Jen doesn't always pick up subtleties at home, though. Marco told me his stomach was growling for more than an hour the other day, and she didn't make him dinner.
As we head over to the featured table, it's time to test your poker reading ability with the Jack Link's Beef Jerky wildcard hand. One player's hole cards will be concealed. Action begins on Phil Hellmuth. Phil has the wildcard hand.
I got to figure him out.
From the small blind, he calls.
Well, in a battle of the blinds, you're going to vary your play. Phil might just call there with pocket aces or kings, but I think he's got Jack 10 off.
Vorbeck checks his option with 6 deuce off. And these two will go to the flop. It is 8-5-5. Vorbeck missed.
Well, Phil might want to buy the pot right here with his hypothetical Jack 10.
He checks.
If you're Vorbeck, you got to figure the flop missed Phil, so he might want to try to buy the pot.
He checks.
Warbeck doesn't want to put any loose change into this pot.
Turn card now. A 6 of hearts. That pairs Vorbeck.
Oh, by the way, if Phil had the pocket aces or kings, this would be the time to stop slow playing.
Still slow plays.
Nah, he's got nothing.
Vorbeck with the 2 pair now.
Well, Vorbeck should probe here with a small bet.
He does. 1,000.
Oh, it's like I'm in his ear.
Phil makes the call.
I can't believe Phil's calling there with nothing unless he has some grand plan to steal the pot on the river.
River card is an ace. It's a good card to steal with.
I don't think that ace hit Phil at all.
Okay. Hellmuth.
2,500.
We'll bet it though. 2,500.
Well, if Phil had pocket aces, he would have bet before the river. Even if he just had one ace, I think he would have raised pre-flop or bet earlier.
Now Vorbeck.
Well, I think Phil's grand plan, available on his black belt poker course, was to call the turn and bluff the river. So if I'm Vorbeck, I'm calling Phil's Jack 10 off.
He calls.
Jacks.
Oh, jacks? Never mind. Poker's a tough game.
With pocket jacks, he gave Vorbeck the chance to catch a card on the Jack Links Beef Jerky wild card hand.
I never put him on jacks.
That was too weird for me.
Yeah, I'm not used to. I mean, I just limped in and checked it all the way. It's kind of a weird hand, huh?
Did you say weird hand or weird man?
You got max value, but I mean.
I gave you $1 million outs, didn't I? I thought a jack was coming on the river. I was going to win like 50.
Phil does add a small pot to his growing chip stack, but more importantly, has everyone else at this table off balance.
The 2009 World Series of Poker is presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side. And in part by WSOP.com. Get official items for your home poker game at WSOP.com. And PokerStars.net, the world's largest poker site.
Welcome back to the Rio, where we are drawing closer to the conclusion of day 2, and many players just looking to hang on and advance. At table 2, Maria Mayernick has taken a couple of hits to her stack from Dennis Phillips and is trying to regroup. She's watching Dennis in a hand right now with Marciano Ivel after the flop. Dennis with 2 pair aces and 9s. Ivel also with 2 pair, but aces and 6s. Ivel now calls Dennis's re-raise.
You know, I'm tired of looking at that Mike Sexton autograph on Dennis's cap. Dennis barely even shakes my hand.
A jack of clubs on the turn is no threat to Phillips. Dennis first to act. He leads out with 15,000.
Sometimes it's hard to remember that Dennis Phillips is an amateur. He carries himself like he's been around a long time.
And people respect him much as they would a big-time pro. Ivel calls.
Well, Ivel has no idea who Dennis is.
River card. Ivel looking to catch up. 7 of clubs. That does not help Ivel. Dennis with a check mark. And Dennis now checks.
No value bet there from Phillips. He's not sure about this one.
Check.
Ivel checks.
2 pair. Aces and 9s.
Aces, 9s, 2 pair.
Oh, Ivel is crushed. That was bad luck.
Aces, 6s, 2 pair.
I tell you, Dennis is not a commercial truck manager anymore. He's a poker guy.
Kind of a cooler.
And having a good run so far here in 2009. At another table, 2008 champ Peter Eastgate is all in, but leading with 2 pair after the turn. Frank Ward with a pair of 10s can still send Eastgate home.
10 or jack.
Or deuce.
10 jack or deuce knocks out the defending champ.
River card is another 6, and Eastgate gets better. He hits the full house to double up again.
Eastgate on the edge today, now feeling flush.
This is my high point. This is my peak.
That's why he's the world champ. It's been a long, tough day of poker for Kent Center and wife Patty, who's been here the whole time supporting her husband. Right now, Kent in a hand with Billy Gaze is again on a flop of King 10-5. Kent will act first and bets 5,000.
You know, privately, I think a lot of Billy Gaze's friends don't think he's ever going to win a bracelet.
And he will fold to Kent Center. And Kent will take that pot.
Well, Kent Center taking a small pot, and he still has a pretty small chip stack.
But Kent does not have any quit in him. He'll be fighting for every chip, and that's the way the game should be played. Back now to the featured table, which has been all Phil Hellmuth. He's been bobbing and weaving and bluffing and bullying his way to a healthy chip stack. Action will begin on Matt Calhoun from Phoenix, Arizona. He looks down at pocket trays.
He's traveled to every state in the U.S. except Hawaii. No bridge.
How do you miss Hawaii?
No bridge.
He calls for 1,000. Phil Hellmuth with an ace of hearts. And Phil, king of clubs. Ace king on a raise to 10,000.
Phil bets the chips quicker than he squeezes the cards. I wonder if that's black belt poker.
It's folded back around to Calhoun and his small pocket pair. He makes the call. That's gutsy.
Yeah, I might have given Phil credit for a big pair there.
Well, people love to play with Hellmuth. The flop 5-8-7. Calhoun's small pocket pair is still best.
Yeah, that's actually a good flop for Calhoun. It completely missed Phil.
Calhoun checks. Phil checks behind him. Turn card now is another 8. Calhoun is still best now. And this time he puts out 15,000.
What in the world is going on here?
Uh-oh, Mount Helmuthicus might be ready to erupt.
It's called $9,000 raise.
It's been so nice up to this point.
Well, Phil is wandering toward the valley of unhappiness.
He folds.
That's how weird they play.
I have a beat.
It's called $9,000 raise.
Phil bothered by this idiot from northern Arizona.
Well, Calhoun stood up to Hellmuth and got some of his chips.
Here you go, sir.
I made it 10,000. He limped in for a dime. And all I'm playing is some nuts for an hour.
You've re-raised it, Phil. I had to pick you off once.
Don't worry, I understand exactly what you're thinking. That's why I didn't raise the last 6 times you limped. Because I knew you were gonna get hee-haw with it a little bit.
We all knew the real poker brat was lurking. Some things never really change.
Yeah!
There was a lot of action at the Rio as we concluded day 2 of the main event.
Don't do that.
For some, day 2 was the end of the line.
Always next year, boys.
For others, it was a small step towards the title.
Looking forward to day 3.
Tablemates Troy Weber and Dan Bilzerian remain near the top of the leaderboard. Many pros head to day 3 poised to make a deep run, while Kent Center continues his inspirational journey through the main event. Celebs from Hard Rock and the Hard Court
It's all good, baby.
also moved on, but looming largest among our remaining field is Phil Ivey.
I'm very pleased with the way I'm playing, and hopefully I can go the distance this Sunday.
And Phil Hellmuth.
I'm not going to back down to anybody. If I have to play more hands to win, I will. If I have to play less hands to win, I will.
For Norman Chad, I'm Lon McCarran. See you next time from the World Series of Poker.